course not.
Come on, Lily. Who are you gonna believe, that lip-lock liar or your best friend?
Welcome back, Disney Channel fans. Today we're taking a nostalgic deep dive into one of my favorite shows, Hannah Montana, and her journey from its breakout debut in season 1 and to its iconic second season. Not only did this transition mark major changes in the show itself, but it also reflected a pivotal moment for Disney Channel as a whole. From fresh character dynamic to a shifting tone, new storylines, and behind-the-scenes transformations, Hannah Montana was a show that evolved with its audience, shaping the future of teen television, especially as we make our way to the second season. So we did the season 1 in 2006 when Hannah Montana first broke into the scene, and Disney Channel also had some success with That's So Raven, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but Hannah Montana took things to like a new level. The show, which starred Miley Cyrus as Hannah Montana and Miley Stewart, who was a regular teenager living a secret double life, quickly captured the imagination of young audiences. And the concept was fresh and fun, but let's face it, who didn't dream of having a secret double life as a famous pop star? So the first season was an instant hit, especially with characters like Lily, Oliver, Billy Ray, and then we start to see them a lot more as the merchandise flew off the shelves, and soon enough, Miley Cyrus was a global sensation. As the Hannah Montana grew in popularity, so did the pressure to keep the show fresh. So season 2 rolling around in 2007, things were changing both in front and behind the camera. The transition between season 1 and 2 brought noticeable shifts in the show's tones and storylines. While season 1 leaned into the more comedic misunderstandings and lighthearted adventures, I think season 2 began to introduce more emotionally complex stakes. Miley's relationships, particularly with Jake Ryan, which will become a focal point as we start to go into the 2-part episode later, it set the stage for more dramatic storylines that resonated with older audiences that were also growing up alongside Miley Stewart, especially those entering high schools. Another key difference was the introduction of the more music-centric episodes. While music had always been a part of the show, season 2 saw more original music integrated into the storylines. Like the episodes I Want You to Want Me, To Go to Florida, and Song Sung Bad, we saw performances that blurred the lines between Hannah Montana and Miley, especially with the Hannah Montana 2 album coming out, which was such a exciting staple to introduce Miley to the world just as much as Hannah Montana. The show was no longer just a secret identity. It was about trying to manage relationships, responsibilities, and the price of fame. So Miley Cyrus was undergoing significant changes. By the end of season 1, it was clear she wasn't just a Disney star. She was on the verge of being a full-fledged musician, and the show's producers began to craft storylines that would cater to Miley's growing fan base, not just as a character, but like as a real-life sensation. The music became a crucial element to the show's marketing, too, with the concerts beginning to draw a massive crowd. They had the Hannah Montana Miley Cyrus Best of Both Worlds tour in late 2007, which actually solidified music outside of the show being real. The synergy between the fictional character and Miley's real-life career was like such a big deal. The success also brought new challenges, though. Her intense workload began to draw so much attention, and this young star had to balance a hit show, a music career, and a growing public image. So Disney, we all know that it got even more complicated as we go to season 3 and 4. Disney was careful to ensure Miley's personal brand aligned with the wholesome image of Hannah Montana thus far. The transition from season 1 to 2 didn't just impact the show, it reflected a broader audience evolution happening at Disney Channel. Around the same time, the network was capitalizing on its success of teen-targeted content, but the competition was starting to heat up, like Jonas Brothers emerging into pop culture powerhouses, High School Musical taking the world by storm, and then also High School Musical 2 alongside Hannah Montana Season 2 in 2007, and that also broke records with over 17 million viewers. This marked a significant shift in Disney Channel's focus, and music became a bigger part of the strategy. Hannah Montana was at the center of this charge, merging narrative television with music-driven content before shows like Camp Rock and Jonas would eventually hit the airwaves. And at the same time, Disney Channel was refining its star-making machine. Like, Miley Cyrus wasn't just a character on a hit show. She was the face of a multimedia empire complete with concerts, soundtracks, and merchandise. And then this would eventually happen to Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez, which you could hear more about in the other videos about Disney Channel. And by the time season 2 premiered, Hannah Montana, just a fun Disney Channel show. The viewership numbers skyrocketed by the second season of Hannah Montana on Disney Channel. It pulled in over 7 million viewers at the premiere, which is a staggering number for cable TV in general. The fandom was stronger than ever, and the world was captivated by Miley's double life. And the transition from 1 to 2 also marked the beginning of Miley Cyrus's evolution. The show would continue to grow its audience, and the second season paved the way for more personal, emotional storylines, digging deeper into the character development, and of course, the more iconic music moments. It was a time of change for Hannah Montana and Disney Channel, and it set the stage for the show's continued success and eventual conclusion, but, you know, we're not there yet. So let's start diving into Season 2 of Hannah Montana.
See what you can do about that. Bukarkovsky entrapment. Clever, Rico.
Okay, so let's start off Season 2. So we got Season 2, Episode 1, Me and Rico Down by the Schoolyard, which is a play on the word Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard, the Paul Simon song. Miley urges everybody at her concert to get excited for the beginning of the school year, and herself reluctantly does not want to get up on her first day of high school.
Get the water bucket.
He wouldn't.
Oh, yes, he would. So she's starting to attend Seaview High School, saying goodbye to the middle school, and Lily discovers that Miley brought her teddy bear, causing her to overreact, asking Miley what this would do to her reputation. So we understand that reputation is really important to these girls.
Seen it. Now, would you zip him back up, please? Fine. Not of the way. She's afraid of the dark.
And she receives an anonymous text on her cell phone that says somebody knows her secret and has a picture to prove it, with no context at all. See, this is interesting, especially in the early technology days when people didn't really know how to research each other or figure out who was a catfish. This is a very early catfish episode. Miley and Lily are instantly worried and believe that Oliver's behind this, but when they find him, he realizes he didn't do it either, and he gets a mysterious message from the person again. Lily narrows it down to anybody texting Miley and looks around to see that everybody is texting, which is so accurate to this time.
That narrows it down to everybody.
They definitely think that it's about the Hannah Montana secret and that this person knows that she's Hannah Montana and will tell the whole school. Miley finds out that it was Rico who sent the message as he becomes the new student in her class. Yeah, Rico's back this season and he's not just on the beach.
Hiya, Toots. Got my messages?
Message to all freshman boys, do not use the term toots when describing a female counterpart. Which this guy is really confident. In exchange for not exposing her quote-unquote secret, he asks her to pretend to be his girlfriend, where she is basically humiliated all day.
A new penny in the piggy bank of my heart. What can I say? She's crazy in love. Cheese me.
Lily and Oliver try to get Rico's cell phone while Miley pretends to be Rico's girlfriend, and they find out that his locker is guarded by a monkey. So Oliver starts fighting this monkey to try to get to his cell phone. Miley ends up saying that Rico's gonna hold the secret over her forever, and that if he wants to send the picture, she'd let him because it's nothing worse than dating him, which is, whoa.
Sure, they'll know my secret, but they'll also know what a pathetic loser you are.
Dang, Rico. Rico picks up the phone and says he was always the smallest in his class and nobody ever liked him, so he just wanted to be liked. So Miley feels sorry for him, ends up kissing him on the cheek, but he turns his head and actually makes her kiss him on the lips, which is, oh my god, Rico, you're not allowed to do that. Not nice. He screams, he shoots, he scores, and Miley gives him a mad look, saying he's toast, and she chases him away. Oliver then looks at the picture and realized that it wasn't about her being Hannah Montana. It was that he had a picture of Miley with her teddy bear on the first day of school. In the subplot, Jackson finally makes a friend, which isn't that guy Cooper from the first season, but this new country guy from Minnesota, Thor, who's a little too friendly and won't leave Jackson alone. And Thor just continues to embarrass Jackson in chemistry class, and
you two should sit together, and I'll sit any place else.
But I have marshmallows.
Jackson tells Robbie about this, and Robbie reminds him that he was once the country bumpkin that went to high school at Seaview, thus prompting Jackson to give him a second chance. And then as he's going back to his friend group, he notices that people start to make fun of him for the same reason, and he decides to stand up for him and choose Thor over his old friends. He said that Thor was just trying to make friends. I like that they weaved Jackson and Rico into the main plots a lot more by having them attend the same high school. I'm sure it was inevitable, but it was definitely perfect for the story to have them be more involved in the central plot. Or at least be, around each other in the same locations. In order to establish Miley and her friend's entry to high school, the Disney Channel premiered this episode along with 4 others in that week, calling it the Hannah Montana's Freshman High Five, and it still placed the number 12 in the United States for 3.52 million viewers. During the credits, Oliver goes up to Rico's locker where the monkey is selling snow cones to the cast, to everybody in the school, which is kind of funny. During gym class with Mrs. McDermott, Miley is tired of being picked last every time for teams and being nicknamed Stinky, which, relatable. The other captain, Lily's rival since 2nd grade, Joannie Palumbo, starts to boast about how she's better than Lily and can't be beaten.
That, winning captain gets to give losing captain a little haircut.
When Lily's selected as one of the captains for flag football, Miley thinks that she's finally going to be picked first.
Wow, isn't it funny how it always comes down to the 2 of us?
When the teams are picked, Miley's left for last. In return, Miley shuns Lily after a concert, and the 2 girls refuse to talk to each other.
Love the little backstabbing quip. So funny. That wasn't about me, was it?
Of course not. I know I can always count on.
And in the subplot, Robbie Ray gives Jackson the silent treatment until he's done with his chores.
Oh, come on, Dad. I apologize. You want me to mean it, too? Yes.
So, the Jackson subplots were mundane at best, with a couple of really funny jokes, but I am not lying when I tell you this is the most disgusting plot in all of Disney Channel. Jackson is so disgusting that the entire sink is overcrowded, and there are so many gross things that happen in this. Miley later learns that she has won a country music award, a booty, for the song True Friend, which is a disgusting name for an award. And without her best friend to tell, she goes to Oliver.
I have amazing news.
So do I. My mom made a detective and gave me her old handcuffs.
Miley and Oliver run over to Lily at the beach, and the girls fight over which person Oliver will be friends with.
You know, big, huge, nasty guy sharks.
Are you wearing a clear polish?
It's called Buff. Like me. Let's go.
So Oliver handcuffs the girls until they're friends again. When Miley argues that she has a live speech that night to accept her award, Oliver relents but cannot find the key to unlock the girls.
But if it weren't for your stupid booty, it totally would have worked.
Tell me you didn't lose the
I
key.
didn't lose the key.
Oliver!
Okay, I lost it.
Miley and Lily then get ready for a speech when Oliver goes to his mother's to find a spare key. So before the speech, Oliver is able to unlock the girls, but the key breaks.
Except the key breaking.
I hate when he says, uh-oh.
So during her speech, Miley needs to use Lily's arms while Lily crouches behind the chair. And during the speech, the 2 girls realize the meaning of friendship and make up after the award. This one is so funny with Oliver because we really get a better sense of his personality, the fact that, like, he kind of acts without thinking. And there's a lot of empathy there, like he really cares about his friends. When it needs to happen, he's pretty there for them. So this one's called You Are So Suable to Me. The title is a reference to the song by Joe Cocker, You Are So Beautiful to Me. So Miley gets annoyed with Lily's constant tomboy behavior and decides to get Lily a more 9th grade girl look with just a few small changes.
Oh, no dates? Well, don't feel bad. There'll be more dances. Unless global warming kills us first. Bye!
Lily's crush, Matt, played by Bubba Lewis, asks her out to the dance on Friday, which Miley can't attend because she's having a concert.
Come here often?
Of course he does. It's cool.
Sorry, you
And Lily sees Amber and Ashley flirting with Matt later and realizes she needs to compete with them. Miley turns her from a skate chick to a date chick, which has to be a little misogynistic, dressing and acting in an exaggeratedly feminine manner.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Which everybody except Matt likes. The night of the dance, Lily is heartbroken because Matt stands her up, and she spends the night at Miley's house, and the next morning she is completely miserable.
It was our pleasure, Lily.
Lily! That's what Matt calls me! Dad.
That's her name.
Think a little.
Miley takes Lily and Matt to teen court, in which people who have dumped them are found guilty. When Matt and Lily, who has Miley as her lawyer, enter teen court, which, by the way, Miley being a lawyer is one of the funniest personas she takes on in the entire show. I mean, look at this speech.
What if Abraham Lincoln promised to save the Union, but broke that promise because he wanted to buy a new hat.
Come here.
I know what you're thinking. How does she do it without any notes?
Things likely go their way until Matt gives his defense. Matt explains he stood Lily up because Lily changed. He liked the old Lily, not the girly girl that Miley convinced her to become, and the two make up. In the end, Miley is found guilty for interfering with the relationship, and despite her refusal to believe it's her fault, she gets spaghetti and meat dumped on her.
Ooh, that is some spanky justice. Case closed.
The growing dependency of Miley and Lily's relationship is so complex in this season. Like, we're at 2 back-to-back episodes that involve them being a little bit toxic and or resolving to each other, but I love how complex their relationship is. It just shows, like, how you could come into a lot of disagreements and change for one another, even, like, friends, not as much as relationships. And I don't know, it's just a really cool representation of friendships like that. Meanwhile, Jackson has won 2 courtside seats to the Lakers game, and he invites Thor, but accidentally invites Robbie also.
Who cares if your boy got into Harvard? My boy's taking me to a Laker game. Yep, courtside seats.
Eventually, Jackson gets stuck in the middle and can't decide between Thor or Robbie. So Jackson purposely tries to smell bad and come across as disgusting, so that way Robbie wouldn't want to go anymore.
What? It's like fate. Him just showing up here like I invited him, which, of course, I didn't.
So he trades his 2 courtside seats in for 3 next to the speaker at the back seats.
Dad, save the popcorn!
This episode's very similar to the iCarly episode I Make Sam Girlier, and this is Amber and Ashley's first appearance in this season. This next episode really bothered me for the longest time just because of the study song they sing in it. I just remember it coming on my TV and it's kind of traumatic. Episode 4 of season 2 is called Get Down, Study-udy-udy. This is a parody of the song Boogie Oogie Oogie from A Taste of Honey.
How would you handle this, Miley?
Well, as much as it pains me, I'd have to say, no grades, no Europe. Then again, what do I know? I'm just a kid.
Miley is expected to go on her European tour as Hannah Montana until her biology grade slips and her father threatens to cancel the tour. That's crazy. You cancel a probably $1 million tour just because somebody got a bad grade?
Done. Here you go, Teach. Sorry I took so long. I just wanted to double check my answers.
To go on the tour, she has to get a good grade on her midterm, so she asks Rico to tutor her. In return, he has her dress up in an elaborate 18th century costume to hold up a globe so he could paint a picture of it.
What's this? An A+.
What was I here for?
I needed someone to hold the globe.
He tells her that his secret to success is his photographic memory, which doesn't help Miley. Able to remember through song and dance routines like Hannah Montana, she creates a song and dance routine based on Nobody's Perfect about the bones in the human body, which she needs to memorize.
No talking. Oaken?
Yes, ma'am.
I said no talking.
So while taking the test, she finds out that she needs to go through the dance motions in order to remember it, but Miss Kunkel notices this and makes her stop, thinking she's sending signals over to cheat, which is, I would just assume that this person is having a seizure in the middle of my class. I wouldn't give her the negative benefit of the doubt. Later with time running out, Oliver attempts to divert the teacher's attention by stimulating a nosebleed so that Miley can move through the dance motions, but
That's what it is. Look, everyone.
the teacher notices Miley anyway and sends her to the principal's. Miley then saves herself by performing the full song and dance routine in the class called the Bone Dance. And everybody joins in, and the teacher's so impressed she gives Miley an A.
Stuart, I'm going to get the principal. What? I want you to show him that dance. It's the best study technique I've ever seen.
Why is the teacher impressed with the dance after the fact that they moved all the desks, made room, and then everybody learned the choreography? There shouldn't have been any anticipation that Miley was in trouble when really everybody seemed to like the dance. I don't know why there would be a risk here. Look at this, like the entire classroom is made to be a stage. You're telling me that you're not committed to it already? The subplot involves Jackson keeping Thor's parrot, and Jackson is tutoring a girl he's interested in Spanish.
Berkey with the bad breath.
Why is he saying that?
The bird begins repeating insults it heard Thor say that involves this girl's name, so it keeps repeating it as Jackson is about to kiss her. Back at the school, the bird continues to cause trouble for Jackson.
You stupid bird brain.
Morning, Stewart.
Stupid bird brain.
Detention, Stewart.
It wasn't even me. It was...
Jackson tells it to drop dead, and it does. Horrified, Jackson attempts to revive it, and Thor arrives, so Jackson tries to hide the bird, but is soon forced to reveal what happened. When Thor takes the bird, it's revealed that it was only playing dead. I just love how... I like how this season really focuses on Jackson's attempt to make a friend, and it seems like through Thor, he's really forced to look at himself and be less of a jerk than he was in the first season. Like, the first season, Jackson was kind of rude, and this Jackson seems to be, like, letting more room in for love, I guess. Next is I Am Hannah, Hear Me Croak. The title is a reference to the song I Am Woman by Helen Reddy, including the lyric I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. It's a commentary on it. Hannah has too many encores at one concert, so her voice is strained and she wakes up the next day and her voice is gone. Robbie Ray suggests that she doesn't talk for a week and uses a whiteboard to write out what she wants to say.
Wow, a week without talking. You know, that's gotta be tough for a girl. Now, guys, we're different. I don't need to talk. I could not talk for a month, wouldn't bother me at all. But girls, talk. Hey, Sally, nice caprice. Oh, I love your purse. Oh, no, that's just rude.
I'm pretty sure this trope was copied into all high school theater. It's a tradition that during Tech Week you try to save your voice for the performance, so you use a whiteboard or you use another way of communicating while you're on vocal rest. And I really don't know if Hannah Montana took it from high school theater or vice versa, but I wouldn't be surprised if high school theater just copied that.
All right, we could go to the movies or something? I got this one for you. In your dreams, a Poindexter. We're playing hard to get.
So during that week, Lily and Oliver accidentally try to help Miley, but unintentionally embarrass her instead. It's really funny watching them do all these things. Like, these moments are really funny. After a week, her voice is better and she's able to sing at our concert. She sings fine until one point in her song, Life's What You Make It, she starts singing badly, and it's decided that Miley really needs to see a doctor. So Principal Franklin from iCarly goes to college again and gets a PhD for some reason. The doctor explains that Miley needs to preserve her singing career as Hannah Montana. In order to do that, she needs to undergo a small surgery for it. The doctor and Robbie both try to assure Robbie that she's in good hands, and the doctor performing the surgery is one of the best doctors in the country, and that nothing is going to go wrong, but Miley still worries. While she's sleeping that night, she has a nightmare that her voice doesn't get better, and her singing career's gone, and then nobody cares about her anymore.
Thought I told you to iron these socks. You know how I like a nice crease in my hosiery.
Sorry, Daddy, I'm still cleaning the oven.
Is reduced to the position of a poorly treated servant girl, table, and coat rack, while Jackson becomes a rock star called Bucky Kentucky and receives all of Lily and Oliver's attention, which is so funny. And we finally get a glimpse of Miley and Jackson's late mother, played by Brooke Shields, who then appears in the dream and tells her that her friends will be there for her no matter what, since they were friends with her before she was Hannah Montana. Her friends and brother come back into the dream and reassure her as well, with Jackson reminding her that he's a terrible singer and overall isn't as musically talented as she is. Robbie comes back into the dream as well, and Miley's talking to Jackson and the others when Mrs. Stewart, mad at her husband during the dream. Robbie had given some hot chocolate to her right before bed, and his wife bothers him for it. In the end, Miley has a surgery done, and her career of Hannah Montana is ultimately saved. But this is a really cool episode to actually address fear that goes in with, like, having surgery or, like, being taken away from something you quote-unquote love. But really, it's about, like, putting yourself above your work and your passion in times of crisis. Like, Miley, like, struggles to find her identity outside of Hannah Montana, and it's really cool that we kind of go backwards in Miley's progression to kind of get a glimpse into her deeper insecurities. Like, this episode really shows how complex Miley is and the double life's effects on her psychology. And I'm just so happy this episode exists because it's really interesting. although it does bring up a question that is about 30 episodes too late, which is, how does she do these concerts? Like, usually if you're a singer, you go on tour and then you do multiple concerts, but Miley, for some reason, is able to get away with staying in her hometown, having an occasional concert when she's not really releasing any new music, and I guess we're all just supposed to assume that that all the fans are within her area? If I were in the Hannah Montana fan base, I would feel really ripped off. Like, just imagine, like, in only the same venue, too. Well, I mean, I guess there's some different venues, but some of the venues are the same. That's enough to peeve me. So in You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party, the 6th episode of Hannah Montana, this title is an obvious reference to the Beastie Boys song, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. Miley and Jackson have to fight over water usage in the bathroom, and they break the plumbing in both of them. Robbie calls for a repairman, but he's only there to fix Miley's bathroom, saying that Jackson's will be fixed in a few weeks. Robbie has Miley and Jackson share the bathroom until it's fixed. During this time, they fight over the space, and Jackson uses Miley's bras to hold his toiletries and picking his nose hairs with tweezers. This is how I imagine having a sister would be, even though I've never had one. I just can imagine fighting over things like this. During this time, Miley almost wipes her face with Jackson's underwear, and Miley spits toothpaste on Jackson's neck. This episode actually gets kind of gross. I mean, while realistic, it's still, like, not fun to watch.
Oops.
Robbie becomes frustrated and calls a family meeting and wants to hear each of them see things from the other's perspective. And in the exercise, they take each other's roles, and they use this to mock each other, of course.
Except for me, because I'm perfect!
Your turn.
Robbie's next attempt involves having the two dress up in large, heavy padded suits and hit each other with sticks in order to work out their anger. And this surprisingly doesn't work, and Robbie decides to ground them. Oh, he prevents Miley from going to Beyonce's party as Hannah, and Jackson from going on a date to watch Panic at the Disco. The two of them get Lily and Oliver to stay in their rooms for the night and trick Robbie while Jackson drives Miley to her party and his date in Thor's truck. Lily and Oliver stay in Miley's room the whole night, but Oliver gets hungry and decides to sneak down and take hot dogs. But then when Lily comes down from Miley's room and asks Robbie for an autograph for her uncle, Oliver makes them both hot dogs. I mean, it's just so funny. Hannah's friends are a lot more dumb than most other teen sitcoms. Maybe because Miley is so intense that, like, only dumb people could follow that, I guess. I don't know. It's just funny watching them sneak around in such outlandish ways. Like, this is clearly not possible to get away with. Meanwhile, Jackson nearly hits a deer on the road, causing him to swerve and dense fog onto the edge of the cliff. The truck hangs on the edge and shifts the weight, causing it to tip dramatically. So Miley and Jackson are stuck and worried about who's going to get out of the truck first, which is kind of a dark plot. So they're basically deciding which one of them deserves to die and doesn't, which is a pretty big jump from the bathroom situation.
Don't worry, the weight of your big head will keep us balanced.
Jackson comes to help her and tries to pull her out after getting out himself, but nearly falls over, and this stressful scenario, they both end up forgiving each other and agree to stop fighting, even though they realize the cliff is 2 feet off the ground. Later, all four of the kids are punished, and they have to clean random objects for Robbie. So the next episode we have is My Best Friend's Boyfriend. So Lily is dating a boy named Lucas, and at first Miley couldn't be happier for her, but she does eventually feel like a third wheel and gets sick of the two of them being together all the time. Like that normal middle school relationship you have in 7th grade.
I made you a mix CD to celebrate the 9 days we spent together.
It's right there. Next to the pepper.
The soundtrack of our love.
Yeah, those were the times. But they're in 9th grade, so this is kind of more inappropriate. After telling Lily of her displeasure, Lily decides to have a sleepover with Miley, but Lucas is invited as well. So Lily makes up for it by...
That's a cute outfit, but it looks like you're about to go out with Lucas.
setting Miley up with Lucas's good-looking cousin Derek Hansen, who looks surprisingly similar to Elvis Presley. Miley is at first excited, but while they're all watching a horror movie, Derek gets freaked out super easily, much to Miley's annoyance. He even eventually jumps onto her lap, and Miley calls it the worst date of her life.
It's in there. Something's in there. There's something in there. Ah! I knew it! I knew it! Ah!
You didn't know we were having a party?
Next day, Miley sees Lucas kissing another girl, which is really crazy because it's like, why would you cheat on somebody in public at the same high school that you're also going to your current girlfriend? I just don't understand the logic there. Miley tries to prove to Lily that her new boyfriend is a cheater. Lily doesn't believe it, thinking that Miley is just jealous. Miley tries to prove to Lily that her new boyfriend is cheating on her and flirts with Lucas so he'll cheat on Lily with her.
No. Don't speak. Just kiss me. No, I'll kiss you.
Oh, okay, well.
When that doesn't work, she dresses up as Hannah Montana and attends a restaurant with Lily as Lola. And Lucas and Oliver happen to go to the same restaurant, and Hannah flirts with Lucas from across the room. This guy is so bad at cheating because also he's just willing to go out with somebody he knows is Lily's best friend and be kind of a snake in the middle of the date. Like, I don't understand. This guy is not being subtle at all to his cheating.
I got 2 words for you, my brother. Guy code. We are men and we are hunters. And what happens in the jungle? It stays in the jungle.
And it's kind of funny because it's like in character for Lily not to be aware of it that much. She tends to be a little airheaded. Lola still believes that he won't cheat until Lucas gets up and tries to give Hannah Montana his number.
To tell her you have a girlfriend, because, you look like the kind of guy who has a girlfriend he really, really likes.
Actually, I've got 2.
Lucas still doesn't realize that the girl he's talking to is the girl he's been kissing, just with a wig on, and admits to her that he is give up Lily in an instant. Meanwhile, these fans try to get a picture with Hannah Montana, which gets in the way of Miley's thing, but it's not that big of a deal, so it's just kind of happens on the side. Realizing her best friend was telling the truth, Lola gets mad and dumps shrimp sauce on Lucas. At the end, Miley and Lily decide to make up, and next time that either of them has a boyfriend, they should trust each other no matter what. And the controlling grandmother comes over once again, mistaking Oliver for...
Oh my goodness. It's Natalie Portman. Oh. Lana.
In the subplot, Rico believes a store, Rico's, has been robbed and installs an expensive security system that confuses Jackson constantly. It even actually traps him various times in really concerning ways. Like, I don't know how Rico has access to this scientifically complex security system. I swear that, I don't even think the White House has this much protection. When Jackson finally decides to quit because Rico asks him to sign a liability waiver, he and Rico realize that their robber was actually just a raccoon, and Rico was taking it all too far. The title is a parody of Johnny Paycheck's song, Take This Job and Shove It. This episode also shows how Miley and Roxy met. After coming out from a concert, Miley flirts with her new dancer, Jeremy. He asks Hannah out to a movie date, but Roxy goes along with Miley for protection purposes.
Do I even need to tell you what's wrong with that sentence?
Sense of humor. That's gonna help you later in life.
Roxy ends up coming on the date and making it so much worse, and Hannah is furious with her. The next day, Hannah Montana meets the president from Cory in the House and his daughter Sophia, which is a cool nod to that series. And Roxy saves the president from eating spoiled sushi. So the president is like, oh, Robbie, we're going to offer you a job as our bodyguard. But Roxy turns him down because she wants to protect Miley, which, honestly, best privilege for Miley, this teenage girl, is to have a security guard. Do you know how many teenage girls need security guards? This would make our culture so much safer.
Who's going to protect you from boys who are always thinking? I mean, I've had your back ever since we met down at Wig City.
Hannah and Roxy have a fight, causing Roxy to be hurt and walk out, essentially giving up her job and going to the job for the president.
Well, if that's the way you want it, then I'm happy to oblige. Goodbye, Miss Montana.
Miley later realizes that she made a mistake in angering Roxy, and to get Roxy back, Hannah makes up the excuse that she wants to teach Sophie one of her dances. So Hannah gets an idea that she could switch clothes with Lola and leave. While Lola can be Hannah and try to teach Sophie the dance moves, which Sophie ends up seeing through Lily's impressive impersonation of Miley. The president sees Miley and thinks she's a dog whisperer, and then everything gets even more chaotic as Miley has to cure his dog. Oh, so Miley pretends to be a dog whisperer and talk to the dog. She ends up putting her apology to Roxy in the ear of the dog when Roxy enters the room and realizes it's Hannah. Talking as if they were the dog and the president, Miley and Roxy forgive each other, and the president promises to spend more time with his dog due to the conversation. Miley and Roxy then return home, accidentally leaving Lily behind with Sophie. This was actually a crossover between Hannah Montana and Cory in the House. It's also the second That's So Raven and Hannah Montana crossover of the series, being the first is That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. And this is the second episode in the season where Oliver is actually absent. And neither Miley or Lily are shown as themselves in this episode, for only like one scene where Miley didn't wear any wig in the flashback of the wig shop, but otherwise, like, they're basically their personas the whole time. We also learned in this episode that Roxy critiqued every wig Miley had chosen, and thus was the reason that Hannah went with her current wig.
I hadn't seen that much leather since your grandma got all gussied up for singles bingo.
Oh, Dad. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Now it's time for the Hannah Montana first two-part episode. That's right, things happen in this special that have not been seen on Hannah Montana thus far. Secrets are revealed, hearts are broken, we're subscribing, anything could happen. This is also one of my favorite episodes because I love the Jake Ryan specials. After seeing Jake Ryan for about 4 episodes in the first season, knowing that he's coming back as a character is really exciting. In retrospect, it's cool they have him come back every season in Hannah Montana, but this event in particular kicks off the popularity of him all around. Up until now, Jake has just been this kind of heartthrob with kind of an ego that's storming the middle school hallways, but since then, Miley and Lily have moved on to high school, and he is just a middle school crush. Which means it's time for episodes 9 and 10 of Season 2, Achy, Jakey, Heart, Parts 1 and 2. The title is a reference to Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus, who plays Robbie Ray, the first episode to actually quote one of his songs. Jake finally returns since his episode People Who Use People, and he's more popular than ever with his new movie coming out and a girl he has to quote-unquote date for the public. Kind of seems a little heartless given the fact right before he left, he kissed her, and it was very clear they were going to start a relationship, so the fact that he was gone for like 6 months and just is suddenly expecting things to pick up from where they left off, and maybe just because he's a celebrity, he gets permission to do that.
Not just chocolates from the sky.
So Jake falls out of the sky wearing a tuxedo, carrying a rose and chocolates, asking Miley to get back with him. Miley's still mad at Jake for everything listed, and even more irritated as Jake continues to send her lavish gifts to try to win her back. Is coming across a little desperate, Jake. You need to understand the meaning of no. Later that night, Miley sees Jake with his co-star on television in an interview with Brian Winters, where Jake accidentally says Miley's name instead of the girl he's with.
Miley.
Oh, sorry, I meant Marissa.
Wow, Jake, girls love that. Yeah, definitely ask her to prom while you're at it. This changes Miley's mind, and I think this is a great reason. Obviously, like, she has reason to be really angry with him, but I do feel like going on public television and kind of announcing your love for somebody is enough to make up for something like that. Although, I will take away the credit because he didn't do it on purpose. There was nothing intentional about this decision he made. While it really benefited Miley, it still shows Jake's character that he just expects everything to happen for him based on things he says or does. Miley ends up going to the premiere and kisses Jake in front of everyone, and now Miley is as popular as Hannah Montana since the media publicized her relationship with Jake. After that, Jake acts like the perfect boyfriend. He even names a star after her with an official certificate. As he's totally honest with her and opening up to her, he admits that
My real name is Leslie.
Leslie, right, that's good.
something that he's never told anyone ever. And at first, Miley doesn't believe it, but then accepts it's true. She feels guilty about not being open and honest with him about being Hannah Montana, and feels even worse after going to a second grade class to read about honesty and having to answer questions of the children.
Miss Montana, I'm sure you're not suggesting to a class of second graders that lying is ever okay.
No, of course not. It's just that, sometimes you have to.
and messing up more. Miley being put in the speaker scenario is always cringe, and I love that about her. She's just so neurotic sometimes that like when she has to use her words to make up for a situation, it always makes it worse. And I love that this is consistent throughout the series. Like never is it that she has a speech and everything goes perfectly well. I mean, the Hannah Montana movie, things went pretty unrealistically well, but you know what I mean. Meanwhile, Jackson becomes annoyed with Rico because he charges way too much for his merchandise in an extremely less thrilling plot. So Jackson, wanting to finally get back at Rico, starts his own business, which is pretty much a failure.
Or maybe the shack doesn't have refrigeration, and the food isn't always edible, and maybe we do have a little bit of a bug problem. But the shack's got character, and like me, it's here to stay.
As Jackson and Oliver crash into each other, they accidentally create a new recipe together called cheese jerky, and they start a new business selling it. Their creation is incredibly popular, which actually does inevitably get back Rico. At the end of part 1 of this episode, we finally end on Miley revealing to Jake that she is Hannah Montana and she cannot keep lying to him. And I love that they stop us right before we could see his reaction, because when I was a teenager, this really shocked me, as Hannah Montana only revealed her secret twice, and it was the very beginning of the series. I did not expect her to do it again. But when I saw the promo for the show and knew that this was coming, I had to watch it, and was very upset when I knew that the cliffhangers happened right before his response. So I had to wait for his response for like a week.
Leslie!
Just give me a second, okay?
Or I forget however long it took for this episode to come out. I remember this is like the perfect way to set up a 2-part episode. Having like a huge reveal like this, obviously you can't just do that in a single episode. The airing of the second half of Achy, Jakey, Heart coincided with the release of Miley Cyrus's Hannah Montana 2 Meet Miley Cyrus, which is a phenomenal album that I've been listening to this week to prepare for this video. It was the top-selling record for that week in general. Parts 1 and 2 were the #1 and 2 best-selling TV shows on iTunes in July 2007, which is crazy because I didn't even realize we were buying TV at that time. The episode was the second highest rated program for its week, behind the premiere of the show The Closer. It was also the second highest rating ever for up until that point for a Disney Channel original series. They have a funny reference to Dancing with the Stars, in which Billy Ray Cyrus was actually in, and they call it Reading with the Stars in the 2nd grade classroom. When Oliver complains about Jackson's cheese getting in his beef jerky, he said it's not
kosher. Oh, Detective Schwartz is gonna go all sugar now.
And it's revealed that Oliver is Jewish in this moment. So then we move on to part 2 of this fun special. So after Miley reveals her secret, she and Jake share a kiss for only the paparazzi to split the two. I think Jake's reaction is kind of neutral to scared. If I were Miley, I'd be extremely concerned after seeing his reaction, although it's not as bad as Oliver's, which he will note later. Although Jake and Miley do grow closer and go on a date to the movies, but have no privacy between themselves and all of their fans. Jake and Miley leave the movie early and go back to Miley's house and are about to make out when they're interrupted by Miley's father. Whenever Jake and Miley go out in public, Ryan's fans flock around them, and Miley starts to become a lot more uncomfortable, especially as Jake starts to use the popularity to his benefit.
Why don't I get us some drinks?
Okay.
Wow, I'm kind of thirsty. You want water, fruit juice, or iced tea?
Miley, who has groomed herself to not let the spotlight influence her, this really hits home when it comes to relationships in early high school versus late middle school. The idea of like finally opening up to somebody for the first time, you know, like that usually happens in dating and when you first like somebody. And in this scenario, the idea that Hannah Montana is a pop star and there actually is huge stakes mimics what a teenager would feel at that age. The kind of emotional weight you get or are given when you put it on somebody else in your life really changes you and the person you've told it to. You could tell that Jake seems to be shifting as a person as he struggles with the hard fact that the things he's known so far in his life may not be morally okay.
Now I'm just a regular guy. I'm a nobody, like Oliver. Brilliant. Hey!
Miley has to deal with the fact that she's actively chosen the life of not being popular and that she can't just blame Jake for her own decision. Jake is really insecure that he can't be at the level Miley has been as Hannah Montana and struggles to fit in as a normal person, although he's in pretty big denial about it.
Hannah Montana's a star too, but underneath Hannah is a real person. And underneath Jake is...
more Jake?
And Miley gets even more turned off to his entire personality, even realizing she might have to break up with him, to which Lily and Oliver confirm. There's nothing more devastating than being in a relationship and feeling like you may not be enough for the other person, or you guys may be drifting apart, especially after you've opened up to each other. I feel like most teenagers in this day and age do repress it a lot more, but seeing Miley go through it and make the right decision to actually act on her feelings and rationalize them so quickly is a really good role model situation. Speaking of how mature she is, she doesn't really want to break up with him, so she decides to behave inappropriately wearing a giant swan dress, which, animal lovers, please close your eyes.
But first I gotta... Oh, yeah. That feels nice.
And flaunts her excessive armpit hair to the public to embarrass Jake, all in the hopes that he would break up with her. Because of how much of a diva Jake Ryan portrays himself to be, Miley is reasonably concerned that if she is to displease him or say something negative, that he will go around and tell everybody she's Hannah Montana.
We can get through this. You'll learn to not be jealous, just like I learned to be a normal guy.
Oh, sweet niblets. You don't know what a normal guy is.
And this is so culturally relevant, especially in the time where teenagers do kind of take out spite on each other a lot more than they used to. People cancel each other, people make up rumors about each other. When you're young and you're hurt, you tend to take it out on the person that was nearby. And I feel like that's really fair for Miley to be worried about that. So Jake inevitably approaches her and says, "What, you think I'm going to tell your secret? Maybe I will." Which is exactly how a teenage boy would approach this situation. I love how honest it is and that it's not just an immediate payoff that he's like, of course I would never do that. They actually take time to reflect on. And in the end, Miley has a really long night wondering what Jake could possibly do to retaliate from her big publicity stunt. And if I were Miley, I would not sleep at all that night. I would be terrified. Of course, Jake would do something. You know, the compatibility they once had and having it turn really dark is a really sad note. Meanwhile, Rico tries to make another attempt to steal the cheese jerky recipe and fails, and Jackson and Oliver are still making tons of money. However, they have not factored the cost of ingredients and supplies, and once they've covered all the costs, Jackson realizes that he's only made $1. So, realizing he's better off working with Rico, he actually just gets rid of the stand and just pretends it never happened.
I work here.
But I fired you.
No, you didn't.
Sure I did. And then you opened that shack.
What shack?
Gaslighting Rico into thinking none of this existed, which is kind of funny to see him go crazy, but definitely brought gaslighting into our culture in a casual way. In the end, Jake sends Miley a box with a rose inside and a note attached, and on the note, Jake wrote that Miley's words were true, and he will try to become a normal person before even going out with her again, and that he still cares about her, which I think is very admirable, especially for a boy at that age.
Let's hope it's not another actor.
He also confirms that he will not disclose her secret and signs the note as Leslie, not Jake, to show his commitment to his growth. Wow, this episode was so fun to watch again, and it really brought back memories and solidified Hannah Montana's excellent storytelling. This show meant so much to me, and I could see that it was very maturely written and played out, and of course, I related to it, and I feel for the characters. Even though me and them are all much older now, I could feel myself being transformed back to that time and feeling the emotional weight what both Jake and Miley have been going through. Okay, let's now go over some of the characters from Hannah Montana Season 2. Now, Season 1 brought us a lot of interesting sides of these characters. Season 2 is definitely where we start to see the true colors of the characters and get to know them a lot better. So I kind of want to go through them all in order and talk about how they've evolved since last season. Miley Stewart. So Miley's character starts to mature, and the stakes of maintaining her double life become a little bit more complicated as she goes into high school. A common character flaw with Miley is that she tends to lie a lot, and that is no stranger in this season. She tries to protect her relationship with people by lying. She's still likable because it's clear that her relationships are the most important, and her lies end up being about a lot more menial things. But even when she lies to Lucas and tries to get him to kiss her, like, that has to be some kind of rocky territory for her. I don't understand how she morally goes through all of this. She has a tendency to mock people like Jackson and Oliver when she's not really happy with them. And we see a side of her that could be actually kind of snarky, especially in the Cuffs episode where she purposely leaves out Lily. I mean, you took her all the way to your concert and then are ditching her? Like, why not just don't invite her to the concert? I don't know. And even with losing her voice, she's faced with a lot more challenges that test her strength. I guess she's gonna just have to keep learning that there's no easy solution to do most things, and that sometimes you're gonna have to hurt people in order to help them, especially when it comes to herself. She tends to do the easy route out of things, and of course that's always good for a main character, but it seems to put her into some interesting situations. The show delves deeper into her emotional struggles, particularly through her romantic relationships, such as her on-again, off-again romance with Jake Ryan. The two-part episode shows Miley having to choose between being honest about her identity or keeping up the Hannah Montana facade. This decision marks a turning point for Miley's character as she learns the emotional toll of balancing fame and her personal life. Miley's relationship with her father also deepens, showing her turning to him for advice as she starts facing more grown-up issues. So in season 1, Miley's relationships are relatively stable and lighthearted. Her best friend Lily is her primary confidant, and they have a strong, almost inseparable bond. Oliver, though initially unaware of Miley's secret, becomes part of the trio after discovering her double life, and Miley's relationship to her dad, Robbie Ray, is also warm and supportive as he helps her navigate the pop star career and offers advice when needed. The relationships are fun, close-knit, and revolve around her double life antics. In the first half of season 2, the dynamic between Miley and her friends begin to deepen, especially with Lily as they face a lot of road bumps, especially with the tension of Miley, Lily, and Oliver as they try to figure out who's closer with who in this specific episode. So now we talk about Jackson Stewart. So in season 1, Jackson's primarily a comedic older brother, with his relationship with Miley being centered around sibling rivalry and teasing. Despite this, there's moments of genuine care where Jackson does show his protective side, but their interactions are largely comedic. His relationship with his father, Robbie Ray, is similarly lighthearted, and Jackson often plays the role of the goofy, somewhat irresponsible son too. Although in the first half of season 1, Jackson's relationship with Miley starts to evolve as both characters mature. While they still engage in typical sibling squabbles, there are more moments where Jackson is seen offering Miley advice or helping her out, showing a deeper sense of responsibility toward her. And as their bond continues to grow, especially as Jackson begins to face more adult challenges himself, including more mature relationships where he chooses his friend Thor over his more masculine relationships. He juggles his work and his personal life, which kind of mirrors Miley's own struggles with her double life, and we get to see more of him in the school setting. His relationship with Robbie Ray also sees some growth since then, as Jackson's given more responsibilities and begins to seek his father's guidance with less trivial matters and more real life, such as like work and relationships. And his evolving role in the family shows him growing from the comedic relief to a more mature character, though still retaining his goofy charm. And then we got Lily. So Lily in season 1 is Miley's loyal best friend. Their bond is so strong, and Lily is one of the few people who knows Miley's secret. She's supportive, protective. The friendship between Miley and Lily is lighthearted, fun, and comedic moments, with Lily playing the quirky, adventurous sidekick. Her relationship with Oliver is also friendly, but without much depth, and their interactions are mostly comedic banter. In the first half of season 2, Lily's relationship with Miley is tested in a lot of new ways. In season 1, Miley lied to Lily about her zit on the big poster, which was a big deal, which they inevitably made up. And then also, Miley jumped on the paparazzi's back to not be seen at a party without her. That was also testing their relationship, but now that they're in high school, it's a lot more intense. Lily faces challenges. Instead of just being Miley's supportive sidekick, Lily now has her own emotional struggles, which occasionally put a strain on her friendship. The show shifts as Lily develops as an individual and still maintains her loyalty towards Miley. Additionally, her interactions with Oliver evolve, creating a more emotional and less comedic dynamic between them, adding to the trio's relationship. Yeah, then we got Robbie Ray Stewart. So Robbie Ray is Miley and Jackson's laid-back, supportive dad, balancing his role as a father and Miley's manager. His relationship with Miley is primarily focused on offering advice and guidance and helping her maintain her double life as Hannah Montana. He's protective, but also gives her space to make mistakes, and always is there to offer fatherly wisdom. His relationship with Jackson is a little more comedic, often teasing Jackson and getting involved in his antics. It's kind of a buddy comedy at a lot of really specific times, and I like them together. In the first half of season 2, Robbie Ray's role as Miley's father deepens. Robbie becomes a more crucial figure in Miley's life as she grapples with her romantic entanglements and her friendship complications, helping her navigate the emotional toll of these issues, while still maintaining his protective and humorous approach. His relationship with Jackson also matures slightly as Jackson is given more responsibility at work and Robbie begins to expect more from him himself. The evolution shows Robbie taking on a more emotionally grounded role, particularly as Miley becomes more independent. Yeah, so then we got Oliver Oaken. So in season 1, Oliver is mostly a goofy and lighthearted character, providing comedic relief in his role as Miley and Lily's best friend. After discovering Miley's secret identity as Hannah Montana, Oliver becomes a part of the tight-knit trio, often helping her keep the secret. His interactions with Lily and Miley are fun and supportive, though largely focused on comedic moments rather than emotional depth. But in season 2, Oliver's relationships, particularly with Lily as well, become to evolve a lot more, especially as they struggle to find their places within this trio. Like, Miley and Lily clearly are the most close, but then when there's tension between them, it seems like Oliver is the one to go to. This marks a shift in the trio's dynamic in general, as Oliver becomes a more focused part of their group. His relationship with Miley also deepens as he continues to support her in her double life, because now he starts taking on his own persona. He starts to express interest in he starts to expect a lot more pity from the girls as he creates his own persona, Mike Stan, and starts coming into Miley's double life as well. Oliver himself is more involved in the drama, no longer just the comedic relief, but also dealing with his own insecurities and feelings. This makes his character a lot more emotionally grounded and adds depth to his relationships with both Miley and Lily. So then we got Rico. So Rico is finally a major character in this season, and his role becomes a lot more prominent, especially his relationship with Jackson, as it takes on more dimensions. While he enjoys making Jackson's life difficult, their interactions involve more regular comedic rivalry, with Rico showing a deeper level of cunning and persistence, while he also interacts more with Miley and the gang throughout this season, becoming more integrated into their world. His mischievous personality continues to become a source of comedy, but his presence is more central in the overall storylines, rather than just being a side plot revolving around Jackson. His antics become more outrageous, and he starts to be more of an antagonist to Miley in this season. I feel like he's a lot more fleshed out in season 2 than season 1, making him a memorable part of the Hannah Montana world, and we only getting to know him better. Overall, the characters start to go through extreme transformations as growing up, having to be more mature, tests their stability, in their own lives and with each other, as well as everybody else in the show creating their own more complex layer than just Miley. I feel like in season 1, Miley was at the foreground of having a double life, especially with the album Hannah Montana Meet Miley Cyrus, a second side to everybody, and that really goes along with the theme of the second season. It's clear that the show has a lot more legs, and of course it only gets crazier and crazier from here, but it's fun to start hitting the surface with this first half of season 2. And as we see returning characters like some of Miley's teachers, now Thor is a new character for Jackson to get along with. The show is starting to grow up along with its audience, especially as all the cast enters high school. It's such a big, prominent part that they end up being in for the rest of the entire series. We also see the recurrence of a lot of really cool staple characters. For example, Roxy plays a great role in this season as we kind of learn that she was the reason Hannah Montana got her wig. We meet the president from Corey in the house, and we even learn a lot more about her relationship with her mother before she died. Of Robbie with her late mother too, Brooke Shields. This has always been lightly touched on in the first season, and I don't think they ever intended to get Brooke Shields up until this point, but it's cool that they finally filled in this gap that was left in the first season, as opposed to just kind of throwing it away like how they do in iCarly with Carly and her dad. So now that we covered the first half of the season 2 episodes and all the characters and the growth between now and season 1, I want to dedicate some time to actually talk about Hannah Montana 2, Meet Miley Cyrus, because this double-length album is so tightly coincided with season 2 that I think it's worth walking back down memory lane for it. During the production of the first season of Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus stated that Right now, we're just all really focused on making Hannah Montana, the show, as good as it can be. But hopefully in the future, there could be a Hannah Montana soundtrack. She states that most of the songs for the first season reflect the show, with Miley or Hannah making sure the other doesn't get caught or whatever. Saying that the tracks provided his producers with the opportunity to make sure that everybody understood the characters. By comparison, Cyrus described the material used during the second season as more speaking out to the fans. Describes Cyrus's vocals on her personal tracks as being lower and throatier with a more organic and rock-oriented instrumentation. Throughout this record, Kathy Kamen Goldmark from Common Sense Media noted that its positive, self-empowering messages for teen girls. Hannah Montana 2 continued to discuss Cyrus's double life on the program, notably in tracks like Rockstar and Old Blue Jeans, and friendships are addressed during Right Here, You and Me Together, and True Friend. The songs Nobody's Perfect, Make Some Noise, and Life's What You Make It discuss maintaining Miley's optimistic look on life. Hannah Montana 2 was later reissued as a 2-disc special edition only in Japan, and it included a remix of We Got the Party with the Jonas Brothers. So Hannah Montana 2, on disc 1 we have We Got the Party. So this upbeat anthem is about having fun and friends, which mirrors the high energy and tight-knit friendship between Miley, Lily, Oliver, especially jumping between their new personas and Miley's double life. We capture the tone of the more exciting, we're talking about the perks of being Hannah Montana and enjoying the double life for all the positives at its highest points. Then we have Nobody's Perfect, a significant theme for Miley throughout season 2. She's learning about her mistakes, especially with her double life becoming more complex, and it embodies the message of self-acceptance and resilience, especially when you create bad situations for yourself, as most teenagers do, with relationships, family dynamics becoming a lot more tough. It's important to remember that nobody is a perfect person. High energy celebrates that nobody's perfect. It's kind of like We Got the Party, but acknowledging the flaws and becoming a little bit more real. Then we have Make Some Noise. This is a really good theme for the second season, especially with Miley's constant contemplation between Jake Ryan and Achy Jakey Hart, her increased independence, and her complicated relationship toward her dad. Everything becomes a lot more difficult in her life when it comes to making decisions, and it's really important that Miley stands up for herself and, despite her imperfections, celebrates it all. I feel like it's the perfect tie-in of We Got the Party, Nobody's Perfect. Actually takes both of those songs' high energy and mellows it out to be kind of like a be true to yourself anthem. Oh, and then of course we have my favorite song, Rockstar. This is what they started with in the Best of Both Worlds tour, and it's definitely my favorite song. It's the contrast between Miley's ordinary life and the glamorous pop star identity, with her being the most confident in the more confident side of her. I see a lot of Miley struggling with balance, particularly in episodes with the Hannah Montana persona and how it affects her relationships, but at this instant we're just partying and enjoying it. Then we have Old Blue Jeans. This one has never really stuck out to me too much, and I've not paid much attention to it, but the nostalgia and simplicity in this track is it's really sweet because it emphasizes Miley's desire for normalcy, which is a recurring theme in season 2 and in growing up as a teenager. It's important to want to hold on to the past and prepare for the future without necessarily overthinking it. And I feel like Miley longs for simplicity in her life. And the show really highlights how we take normal life for granted, and sometimes even pop stars can desire to be normal, as opposed to just being herself and desiring to be at the forefront of the paparazzi. Then we got Life's What You Make It. It's a super optimistic track, which is aligning with the season's messages of personal growth and resilience. especially when she comes to conflicts with Lily and Oliver, her dad. It seems like in moments where she doesn't have as much control, this song underscores the idea that she is inevitably in charge of her choices. Although Miley Stewart tends to dodge accountability or hide from the truth, it feels like she's at her strongest when she takes accountability and embraces the choices she's making in her life. One in a million. So this song fits Miley's complicated romantic relationships, particularly for Jake Ryan, as she navigates her crush and the struggles of keeping her double life from affecting their relationship. The song's message of finding somebody special that really resonates with you is a important thing in Miley's emotional journey in season 2. And I'd argue that it's not only about one in a million in terms of romantic, it's also in terms of having that special moment in your life that you desperately want to hold on to and focusing on just that. Bigger Than Us, the theme of this track can be linked to Miley's growing awareness of how her double life affects not only her, but also her friends and family. Common within all Disney Channel shows, especially like Wizards of Waverly Place, That's So Raven, it's like the stakes are becoming so high, but when you kind of lean back on your family, it's fun to know that like love is more important than anything. You and Me Together is the song's focus on togetherness reflects Miley's relationships with Lily and Oliver particularly. Like it shows how important their friendship is, and even when tested, how Miley relies on them to navigate the complexities of her life. And while she may act like she can go off without them at any point, it does seem like she's the most vulnerable when she's with them and has a connection to them, which is a great end for the album with True Friend, which is the perfect anthem for Miley's friendships, which this season is the strongest on. The song highlights loyalty and support she receives from Lily and Oliver and how much that means to her. Without her friends in her double life, I feel like things would not have gone so well for her. Like if Miley never told Lily or Oliver and she kind of kept it to herself, it falls in the category of refusing to grow up and kind of keeping your insecurities within. But as life does, when you grow up and you start letting more people into your life, you know, you see a better side of you. You see yourself in a true friend, and that is what I feel like the show is all about. The strength of their friendship and all the new challenges and emotional growth that no matter what, friends will always get you through. Then we have the second side. So this is cool because, you know, obviously there's a Hannah Montana album for every season, but this is the one and only season that has the Meet Miley Cyrus slide, where they take Hannah Montana so seriously that they actually do want to highlight Miley Cyrus. The whole show focuses on this girl's separate identity, like everything she does in this specific world, but actually diving back into what everything is about for Miley Stewart and her morals and everything she believes in, how that translates to Hannah Montana, you know, what Miley might be going through herself, and reminding the audience that this is definitely like one person and everybody has more than one side to them, and it's not just Miley Cyrus. And especially as the internet became more prominent, it's very clear that you do have two sides to you. Miley is really good at teaching you how to embrace it early on. I feel like this show really helped me navigate internet culture as it became a thing, as I saw myself living a double life as online Johnny and real life Johnny, trying to take control of what is positive and what's negative and trying to make each life about one specific thing, when really life is about just letting things happen and accepting who you are and what will naturally come. And that's my favorite part about having Hannah Montana and Meet Miley Cyrus. The nostalgia begins with See You Again. It's the track that includes Miley Cyrus's independent persona. It's excitement and nervous, and the song is always linked to Miley's like romantic feelings to having another persona, and maybe even Jake Ryan. I don't know. I feel like this is a little bit more of Miley Cyrus than Miley Stewart, and but it would be a great layer. It's a great foundation for balancing feelings and growing up. And then we have East Northumberland High, and this is nostalgic to me because it's like, of course, they finally go to high school, and I know it's not tightly correlated to each other, but it just feels a lot more relevant. The song's theme is like being interested in mirroring Miley's on-again, off-again feelings in this new environment, and it captures like the playful yet conflicting emotions that come with her romantic life. And then we have a really fun one, the carefree Let's Dance, which is like just makes you want to get up and dance, and it reflects Miley's desire to have joy inside of her life, outside of the pressures of fame, that Miley doesn't go to Hannah Montana to have fun. Both Miley and Hannah have fun in their own right, and there's both positives and negatives. And these small moments where you can just dance and enjoy yourselves with your friends is the best part of being Hannah Montana. And of course, that brings us to GNO, Girls Night Out, which is echoing Miley's need for time with her friends, particularly Lily. And as they face new relationship and friendship challenges that might be limited to individuals as opposed to an entire group, like not necessarily just about men or women, but about the urge to step away from all of life's expectations and just enjoy yourself. Having fun and letting loose is so present in these episodes where Miley and her friends enjoy being teens despite the pressures of Miley's secret life and just growing up in general. Right here is the song's message of offering unwavering support connects Miley's relationships with Lily, Robbie Ray, and throughout season 2, Miley really relies on her family, especially in episodes where she has to navigate emotional challenges. As I Am is about accepting yourself and being accepted by others, which directly ties to Miley's dilemma about revealing her secret identity to the different people in her life. And especially when she comes with internal struggles with her mom and Rico and more people in her supporting life, she needs to re-accept herself every time she meets somebody new. Because as somebody comes into your life, you see new sides of yourself. And this isn't only about Miley accepting herself as she is, but also being ready for other people to accept her, and despite that, being loved for who she truly is. We have Start All Over. It's the reflection of Miley's desire to have a fresh start with her relationships as she continues to struggle with the complications of her double life. It's particularly relevant in episodes where Miley makes huge mistakes, but learns to move forward like it happens so much in this episode. Then we have Clear, which is like a really pretty song that I didn't discover until way after this album came out. It's like the theme of wanting clarity and understanding in your life. When you make that revelation that something is good or bad for you in middle or high school, it's that idea of looking through the fog and seeing something for what it really is, especially as we see Miley's back and forth experiences with Lily and Oliver. Good and Broken is a great song about like resilience and picking yourself back up when things go wrong, because Miley is just such a flawed character and she's so confident in it, especially as her emotional growth continues. She faces more personal challenges, and the track encapsulates her determination to just keep going even when things feel complicated. And then I Miss You. While this song is about loss, it can also be tied to Miley's feelings of missing the simplicity of her life before coming Hannah Montana. Not only is her mom missing the way things used to be. Overall, Hannah Montana to Meet Miley Cyrus is really good at reflecting Miley's evolving character throughout, specifically season 2. The tracks of Hannah Montana 2 tie closely with her experiences of friendship, identity, and the pressures of balancing her double life. Meanwhile, the songs from Meet Miley Cyrus offer a really deep look into Miley as an individual, beyond Hannah Montana and a little bit beyond the show. Her emotional complexity with fame and teenage life is just something people really want to know about, and I think she does a great job at storytelling throughout this album. Meet Miley Cyrus was omitted from the pre-released pressings, and Meet Miley Cyrus remained unreleased as a standalone album until January 2021, when both albums were reissued separately for the first time on digital platforms. At the closing ceremony of the 2007 Disney Channel Games, held on April 27, 2007, which was the first time she performed as herself and not Hannah Montana. And then she performed I Miss You on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and performed Start All Over, See You Again, and We Got the Party with the Jonas Brothers at the Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve in New York City. 2008, she performed GNO in the 2007 Kids' Choice Awards. But yeah, that's all we got for Hannah Montana Season 2. This is definitely one of the peak seasons for the show's development, if not one of the better seasons for sure. We've taken a major step up since Season 1, and it is so beautiful to get a new take on this. Thank God Hannah Montana was brought back, because I feel like this is where the show really found its stride. Along with the promotional material, even the 2 soundtracks, this series has become more than a franchise. It's become like a way of living. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, it's really good. I'm going to continue the second season of Hannah Montana with 2 more additions. Since the second season consists of 30 episodes, I really wanted to take my time and dive deeper into all of this material, as it just gets better and better from here. So thank you guys so much for listening to my video, and Subscribe to Johnny 2000s for more Hannah Montana 2000s content. And so much more. Thank you guys so much and have a great day.
Life's what you make it. So let's make it rock, make it rock.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Johnny 2000. Did you miss me? Well, it's been less than 24 hours, so maybe we should work on our clinginess in our relationship. So here we focus on reliving the shows that shaped a generation of Disney Channel fans. I'm talking Wizards, I'm talking Hannah, and today, of course, we have another meaningful one. If you're a fan of the 2000s Disney show Hannah Montana, or just looking for a heavy dose of nostalgia, make sure to hit that subscribe button in the future. But today we're going to be picking up where we left off with episodes 11 through 20 of Hannah Montana Season 2. Wow, this is where things really start to get interesting.
But I wouldn't expect you to know anything about that since you are from Lily Tiny Brainia.
The concept for living a double life, being a regular teenager by day and a pop star by night, was pure fantasy for the viewers like us. But for Miley Stewart, it was her reality. And at the time when social media was starting to take off and privacy for celebrities was becoming a thing of the past, Miley's double life as Hannah was relatable to anybody feeling the pressures of being somebody they're not or balancing different parts of their life. The theme of dual identity resonates so deeply, especially now.
Hate makes you ugly. Oops, too late.
At that time, it offered young fans a behind-the-scenes look at what fame could be like with all the highs and lows, and it's not so different from being a normal kid. In our last video, we covered episodes 1 through 10, where Miley wrestled with her relationship with Jakey, dealt with secrets and blackmail from Rico, and even navigated some deep questions about who she is and what she's willing to sacrifice for her double life. We also learned that Oliver has been neglected, and Lily and her tend to argue a lot. We saw episodes like Achy, Jakey Heart, where she gets a taste of what it's like to be in a relationship while protecting her identity. The more Miley tries to live as a regular teenager, the more challenging it'll become. Now we're in episodes 11 through 20, the mid-section of Hannah Montana Season 2. In these episodes, we're going to see a lot more of Miley's friendship with Lily and Oliver, and how fame can complicate even the closest relationships. We see Hannah Montana dive deeper into what it means to balance fame and friendship. We've got more guest stars than ever before, specifically in this 10-episode chunk, in a way I can't even describe. So I'm going to call this Hannah Montana Season 2 the guest star era. Like, these episodes have one guest star every episode, whether Disney intended to or not. And I personally just think it was a stunt to get ratings, like Jesse McCartney and all that. I don't think that was the priority, but it definitely helped. So get ready, because it's time to explore the ups and downs of celebrity life in Hannah Montana Season 2. Okay, Sleepwalk This Way, based on Walk This Way by Aerosmith. So Robbie Ray has written a new song for Hannah, and Miley's obviously eager to hear it, but Robbie insists on only playing his new songs on a prized guitar, which, okay, a little bougie, Robbie Ray. Some of us can afford that. Unfortunately, it's being cleaned and won't be ready until next week. So, impatient to wait, Miley actually sneaks a peek in her dad's jacket and discovers what she believes is the song, a ridiculously awful tune called Gangnam Style. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine if that was it? Nah, but seriously. So it's about bunnies stealing money, and Miley is horrified by the lyrics, but she can't bring herself to tell her dad, fearing that she'll have to hurt his feelings anyway.
Really?
What
you wrote a song? Who knew? Interesting. Easter. Easter Island. We're studying it at school. Big statues. Nobody knows how they got there.
So Miley's bottled-up honesty starts to affect her, causing her to sleepwalk and blurt out embarrassing truths. Oh my god, can you guys imagine?
Love the new look, toots. Oh, sweet nipples.
So during science class, she sleepwalks again, telling her least favorite teacher, Mrs. Kunkel, that she doesn't like her clothes and thinks she's ugly, which, Miley, we're not supposed to be truthful in school.
House tonight. Hey, Miley.
Just as Miley is about to accidentally reveal her secret identity, Lily and Oliver manage to wake her up. Despite this, Miley is sent to the principal's office anyway. Later, Robbie overhears, telling Jackson that the song is the worst he's ever written, leaving him feeling hurt. But in the end, Robbie eventually reveals that the bunny song was actually something Miley wrote herself when she was 5. Oh, Miley, not cool. He kept it around to inspire him and give him a laugh during his creative slumps. His real song, Bigger Than Us, turns out to be a hit, which is weird because it's kind of one of the cheesier songs on the album. Not a fan. And Miley's worry over her hurting his feeling fades.
Loving it already.
You ain't even heard it, son.
Sure I have. in here.
And meanwhile, Jackson, who worried that Miley's honesty might cost him his party plans, is thrilled when Robbie allows the party to happen. It's a success, but the house is actually left in chaos.
I just called the maid service.
Well, thanks, Dad. You know, that is one of the many reasons why you're still my hero, my role model, my...
Robbie, in a twist, hires a maid service, only for Jackson's phone to ring, revealing he's the one who will be cleaning up. Dude, but like, he deserved that. That's normal. Like, you were supposed to do that, Jackson. Come on. I can't get over the fact that Jason Earles is like 30 in this. He definitely can portray himself as an 18-year-old. Then we have When You Wish You Were a Star. This is the one that I was talking about, was in the Wish a Miss special on Disney Channel. So after performing a concert as Hannah Montana, Miley is visited by Jesse McCartney.
Listen, tonight I am the fan. You did a great job. And you are? Nice to meet you. Yeep.
Who asks her out. An unfair power dynamic, Jesse. You can't just ask somebody out. She's thrilled, but she has to decline because a science project with her best friend Lily. So she has to decline due to a science project with her best friend Lily and her busy school schedule. Which, come on.
This double life is so hard.
Frustrated by balancing schoolwork and her Hannah Montana life, Lily and Miley see a shooting star and each make a wish. Lily for an A on their project, and Miley to be Hannah Montana full-time. Jeez, Lily, you didn't want anything else? Like, anything? Miley wakes up to discover that her wish has come true. She's now permanently Hannah Montana, and her wig transformed into her real hair, which could definitely be the perfect ad for a hair salon. An angel resembling her bodyguard, Roxy, who's awesome, appears, explaining that Miley's wish is now a reality.
The twinkly lights, the leather couches, and look at that awesome chandelier. Madonna has one just like it.
Not anymore.
Initially, Miley loves her new life, complete with luxury, fame, and freedom to date Jesse McCartney. However, the angel shows her how her family and friends have been affected by her permanent superstar status, and she reveals things aren't as great as they seem.
Sort of dealing with something right now, so.
You're so cute when you're dealing with something right now.
Her initial choice to be Hannah Montana was the right call, especially with Jackson leaving home, disliking her being Hannah Montana.
Oh, I got you!
And he's homeless. Jackson is literally homeless. Meanwhile, Oliver and Rico turned her fame into a money-making scheme, and Lily, no longer her friend, has become popular by associating with the shallow Amber and Ashley. Horrified by the changes, Miley decides she wants to be Miley again. Spoiler alert. That is such an obvious trope. She does a brunette wig and tries to reconnect with Lily, which is actually kind of depressing. Can you imagine leaving your identity behind and trying to turn into your older self? That's like me trying to put on a 6th grade wig and pretend I'm in 6th grade again. I don't want to relive that. Now popular and unrecognizable, Lily rejects Miley.
Does everybody know that you have a birthmark shaped like a poodle on your butt?
Realizing the impact of her wish, Miley sees her dad's new wife and realizes she's only there for his money, banning their family traditions. Desperate, Miley vents her frustrations at home, throwing a pillow at her Hannah memorabilia. She gets a really intimate conversation with Jackson on the roof, which is actually really sweet.
It's just us. You don't have to do the voice.
What voice? Oh, right, sometimes I forget.
And Miley laments the wish that she made. Jackson wishes he could see the world where Miley wasn't Hannah, just as the shooting star appears. Miley calls the angel, pointing out that Jackson's wish should count.
Please?
Suddenly, as Miley pulls her hair, the wig slips off, and she's Miley again. The angel reappears, congratulating her on finding the loophole. Miley returns to her regular life, grateful for her family, friends, and the best of both worlds. The episode concludes with Oliver, Rico, and Jesse rapping on the beach. Oh my god, you got him as a cameo, and you're having him rap on the beach.
Peace out!
This show is so sweet because the moment she has with Jackson is probably the most genuine moments in the entire series. Let's look at it for a second.
Welcome home.
Ooh, didn't you hear me? I'm not staying.
But Jackson, you have to. I want at least some of my old life back.
Like, there's just something so deep about a brother and sister reconnecting, about the girl's identity issues. Like, that's a big, important thing. Oh, the next episode, we have trouble. I Want You to Want Me. to go to Florida. The original title is a reference to the Cheap Trick song, I Want You to Want Me, season 2, episode 13. So this is the infamous episode introducing Selena Gomez's character, Alex Russo. I mean, you know what I mean, Michaela.
Well, I think there's enough room in the music world for both of us, right, Michaela?
Absolutely, positively.
Adorable.
The episode opens with Hannah Montana meeting her rival, Michaela, on The Real Deal talk show. Despite acting friendly on camera, Michaela is secretly envious of Hannah and becomes Miley's nemesis.
Your voice is stingy, your music is stupid, your outfits make me want to puke on them, but it looks like somebody already did.
Michaela's teasing only intensifies as they're both booked for the same Florida benefit concert, pushing Miley to give her best performance to prove her talent. But things get complicated when Miley's dad, Robbie Wright, injures his back in Jackson's new workout machine.
Set it for my height and weight. Matter of fact, crank it up to Aunt Pearl. I'd like to see the rubber band toy that can handle Robbie Wright!
And by the way, who let him buy that? Aren't you 18? And is reluctant to let her go to Florida alone. Concerned for her safety, Robbie insists she's too young to travel by herself, which is so frickin' fair. Can you imagine a 16-year-old going across the country? Despite Miley's assurances that Roxy, her bodyguard, will be with her, she still isn't allowed to go. Which, that would make you a terrible father, Robbie, if you let your 16-year-old daughter go on a plane, which I really hope you didn't do in real life. I know your relationship's strained, but please, I hope you're a good dad.
Does this mean I'm your favorite kid now? I'll take that as a yes.
Their argument escalates, leaving Miley frustrated and determined to prove that she still can do it. Feeling taunted by Michaela's call mocking her canceled concert performance, Miley does not want to give up. She leaves a note for Robbie Ray saying that she's going to Florida with Roxy, even if it means facing the consequences. Dang, Miley's running away from home. This is insane, this episode.
Come on, fly boy, I can walk to Florida quicker than this. Come on!
Sweetheart, could you keep it down? Someone just complained.
Who?
Me. Now zip it.
She boards the plane, but just before takeoff, Robbie and Jackson board the plane as well.
Hey, this bathroom's occupied.
Unfortunately, the plane doors close, and once they get Hannah, they actually can't get off until they're in Denver. Obviously, Billy Ray is pretty peeved off, which, oh my god, if I accidentally got my parents on a flight to Denver, can you imagine? That would be the most torturous plane ride of my life. That would be my personal, you know. During the flight, Robbie and Jackson have a heart-to-heart, and Jackson helping Robbie realize that his strictness may have pushed Miley too far. Aw, Jackson actually has a really sweet moment.
Oh yeah, I can be deep.
Meanwhile, Roxy assures Miley that Robbie's overprotectiveness comes from his deep love from her. In a touching moment, Robbie shows her the new song, Ready, Set, Don't Go, which we don't really hear outside of this. Expressing his struggle to let Miley grow up, he finally agrees to let her go to Florida.
Oh no, shrimp and cookies bad combo.
It's okay.
Miley performs in Florida successfully, blowing Michaela off the stage, though the concert itself is left off screen. Instead of punishment, Robbie calls Miley after the concert, congratulating her, and then humorously ending their call with, "You blew Michaela off the stage." Meanwhile, Jackson's workout machine becomes a comedic side plot throughout the whole episode. Rico tries it out. Whoa! This episode was the first appearance of Michaela and her manager, which are super funny, ongoing characters, and then we got to see If Cupid Had a Heart, which honestly should have been on the Hannah Montana 2 album, but it's just cute just to see. It's actually sung by Julie Griffin, not even Selena Gomez, which, did you know that? Because I didn't until I said that. Oof. Now this episode got lost to time. Everybody was best friend fighting. Season 2, episode 14. The title is a reference to the song Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas, which includes the line, "Everybody was Kung Fu fighting," which I love that song, guys. Give it a listen. This is gonna be, what if this was on the Hannah Montana 2 album? No, that would be cool. That would be too cool. I love an Oliver episode, and in this episode, Oliver feels left out because he's never invited backstage to any Hannah Montana concerts, prompting Miley to invite him backstage for the next show. However, Lily is not thrilled about sharing her special privileges with Oliver and feels jealous.
I know this is kind of our special thing. And you might be kind of jealous. But
Jealous? I am not.
Miley's attempt to include both of them actually backfires further when she has to choose between Lily and Oliver to join her at the celebrity tennis tournament. She's invited to play with a handsome guy named Guillermo Montoya, charming tennis star, but has only one extra ticket, sparking a fierce rivalry between Lily and Oliver.
Real subtle. Buttering her up with cake with hearts. Pathetic. Hey, Miley, I made you a shirt.
To solve the problem, Miley gets an extra ticket from Rico, allowing both friends to attend the tournament. However, the plan to keep the peace fails as Lily and Oliver actually bicker constantly during the game.
Hello? Switch seats with me.
You're pathetic.
Switch seats with me. Switch seats with me. Switch seats with me.
In the chaotic turn of events, Oliver's hand gets stuck in a woman's hair. This is the rudest thing I've ever seen. Can you imagine two teenagers at a tennis tournament just arguing and then sticking their hands in your hair? Ugh, and then it ends up in Miley's face, blocking her vision just as she's about to make a crucial move. And this guy's a jerk. Hannah, you should honestly purposely lose because Guillermo Montoya is a real jerk. He only cares about winning.
Cost me this match. I will go home tonight, dress up like you, and hit myself in the face.
You have got some serious issues, my friend.
You don't need that. In the He Could Be the One special, this guy will not be in it. Can you imagine though? After realizing the mess they've caused, Lily and Oliver apologize to each other and agree to stop fighting. Miley's still trapped in the net, and she playfully tells them to focus on getting her out. Meanwhile, in the subplot, Jackson hires a psychic, played by Dancing with the Stars dancer Karina Smirnoff, to convince Rico he's been cursed.
Until you learn to be nice, you are cursed.
For being mean, and he must be nice to break it. Leads to hilarious moments of Rico trying to do this. Eventually, we find out that Jackson did this all along, and these guys have no lives outside of hunting each other.
Somehow he found out, now he's trying to get back at me. Steph!
Oh, Jackson.
All right, who told you?
Actually, you did, just now.
And can I just say, Oliver deserves this. I feel like rightfully so, as a boy growing up with female friends, it sucks to feel left out. And I feel like I definitely empathize with him in this episode. I think he's being a little bit of a baby on purpose, but I don't know, I'm not gonna judge him. I definitely feel like I would have done the same. The birth of Mike Stanley happens in this episode where...
What is that beard made of anyway? Armpit hair?
You said nobody could tell.
Oliver, friggin' the only name he could come up with.
Mike, stand. Mike, stand. Lee.
And I'm over it. That's like way worse than Lily's. Now, in Song Sung Bad, Lily decides to record a song as a heartfelt gift for her mom's birthday. The song is a reference to Neil Diamond's Song Sung Blue.
To really make this special, you're gonna have to record the song. But I don't have a voice like yours. You'll be surprised what you can sound like in a professional studio.
I haven't felt this queasy since my grandpa dragged me into that shirts and skins b-ball game at the senior center.
Unfortunately, Lily is a terrible singer, but Miley, wanting to help her best friend, secretly edits the recording to make it sound beautiful.
Daddy called it Extreme Mixover. Lily Edition.
When Lily hears the edited version, she's thrilled and believes she has an amazing singing voice. Feeling bold, she decides to sign up to compete against her rival Amber in the school's karaoke night. This is like a common trope in Hannah Montana where one of the girls is pressuring each other to act a certain way, and it's always Miley toward Lily. Like there was the episode where she liked Lucas and made her change to a skater girl. Then there's the episode where Lily told her not to be embarrassed of wearing glasses, but then she got the zit.
I mean, there's always room for improvement.
Miley is not a good friend at this point. When Miley realizes Lily's in over her head, she confesses the truth and shows Lily the unedited version of the song.
What did you do to my voice?
On this CD, nothing.
Ouch! Can you imagine? Rather than drop out, the two come up with a plan. Lily will lip sync and Miley will sing from backstage to make it sound flawless. Wow, never seen this done on TV before. Not on Drake and Josh. Meanwhile, in the subplot, Jackson deals with Sarah, a friend of Miley and Lily's, who mistakenly thinks he has a crush on her. Yeah, she was in the first season having a relationship with Oliver and the Flower Baby, and I guess she was too much of a heartthrob to stay in that season, so she's back, and now she's bugging Jackson. But the two have really good chemistry together, like it's fun to watch them. So this was overall a really fun episode.
Who could possibly follow Amber?
Ooh, I believe the gauntlet has been thrown down!
During the performance, however, Miley accidentally releases a spider that crawls up her arm, causing her to scream and throw off the performance.
What I said, you heard. Now I got you spinning.
Despite the mishap, Miley and Lily actually laugh it off, and Lily learns to embrace her limitations. Which, what about you, Miley? Miley needs to learn to be nice to people. Jesus, you're the one that needs growth, not Lily. What, she's just supposed to get over the fact she's a bad singer? I mean, just, I don't know. The recording Lily gives her mom features Emily Osment's actual singing voice, even though her character Lily can't sing. Emily Osment definitely can. Do you guys remember that song, I Don't Think About It? And apparently Miley has a real-life fear of spiders, which is humorously incorporated into the episode. I wish I was there in the writing room for that. The next episode is Me, Mr. Jonas, and Mr. Jonas, and Mr. Jonas. The episode is a play on the title Me and Mrs. Jones by Billy Paul. This is actually one of the highest viewed episodes of the entire series, and I just had to mention that because, of course, the Jonas Brothers, like, I forgot about this until I remembered the promos when it was coming out. This aired exactly after High School Musical 2 and right before Phineas and Ferb aired for the first time.
Hannah Montana.
So in this episode, Miley and her dad, Robbie Ray, prepare to record new songs. Miley's eager to get to the big shoe sale with Lily. Plans take a surprising turn when they encounter Nick, Joe, and Kevin Jonas? Excited to meet them, Miley's enthusiasm fades when the Jonas Brothers recognize Robbie as the legendary songwriter Robbie Ray.
I know! Nobody's Perfect is genius.
I like the cute romantic one.
They ask him to write a song for them, and despite Miley's reluctance, Robbie agrees. Let's take a minute to notice this. So, in Wish Gonna Miss, it's confirmed that they're all in the same universe, and That's a Sweet Life of Hannah Montana gives me the impression that all of the Disney shows are technically in their own universe. Although, if that is the case, then how come they're not connected to the show Jonas? If it was connected to the show Jonas, then the boys should be already really famous singers, but since they're playing themselves, why is Hannah addressing them? Or, because this is just so confusing. I don't know how these universe things work with channels. Do the showrunners talk to each other? Do they hide stuff? Or does the network get them together and ask them to come up with something? I don't know. I just can't imagine what goes on. But they can't not address it.
You said you were working.
Well, it turns out I was. Listen to this. Anywhere we go, anywhere we are, everybody knows.
They ask Robbie Ray to write a song for him, and Miley is a little bit jealous of the attention, and then Robbie actually agrees. Meanwhile, Jackson attempts to break the pogo jumping world record for $5,000. Jeez, are you guys running out of ideas? It's the second season. I don't know how this has to do with his character. After hours of jumping, he desperately needs to use the bathroom and negotiates with Rico to help him for half the prize money. Unbeknownst to him, he broke the record hours earlier. Rico just tortured him. Dang, Rico, that's cold. But also a great negotiation. How did he learn how to be a businessman? Feeling left out and jealous of the bromance, Miley tries to act more guyish to win back her dad's attention, and her attempts only seem immature, and Robbie gets a little peeved. Lily and Miley end up dressing up as Milo and Otis, a pretend boy band, to try to convince the Jonas Brothers that Robbie stole their song.
We got the party with us!
That's our song. Isn't it? I kinda liked it.
And making his dad look bad, which, oh my god, couldn't that ruin his entire reputation in the music industry?
You? I shared my nachos with that guy.
I don't even want to see this guy again. I'm out.
Robbie catches up on Miley's scheme and realizes that she's feeling neglected. Miley apologizes to the Jonas Brothers, explaining that her prank was just a joke, and they believe it because they're dumb. So I guess this is connecting to the Jonas show. Miley opens up to Robbie about her jealousy and fear that she'd lose time with him. He reassures her he'll always love her and love writing songs with her together.
Otis.
The episode concludes with the performance of We Got the Party by Hannah Montana, and the Jonas Brothers start recording in it with them. And it ends on the beach in a fun little music video, and Robbie accidentally fires marshmallow guns at a choir, and then finds himself targeted by the Jonas Brothers marshmallow attack.
And we always keep our promises.
Duck and cover, Daddy. It's the return of the Jonai.
It's a cute episode because we have another Miley and Dad episode, like the I Want to Go to Florida one is a really good precursor to this one. I like that we're having a lot more time with Miley and her dad, and it seems like a lot of the themes that worked in season 1 are really working again this time, but since the characters are getting to know each other so well, there's a lot more depth to their emotions. And I can't imagine how the actors are feeling in these moments. Like, I wonder how their personal lives coincide with the emotions of their characters, because it is really sweet to see Miley and Billy Ray authentically reaching out to each other as an actual father and daughter. Although now we hear like rumors about them not getting along, it really is nice to see this moment in time. I don't know, it's just nice. The episode is Don't Stop Till You Get the Phone. Miles is thrilled to own the latest O phone, which is, wow, real clever play on iPhone. But soon, a brand new Z phone is released. Oh my god, they skipped so many letters.
It makes the O phone old news.
Oh, Daddy, you saw that commercial!
Sparking her desire for an upgrade. When her dad, Robbie Ray, refuses to buy it, Miley, as Hannah, tells her friend Tracy that she already has it, fearing social backlash if she's caught without the latest trend.
Oh, Hannah has a hissy. Thanks, kid.
Can't you people ever give me a break?
Sorry, kid. This picture's gonna pay for my new Z phone.
Miley and Lily hatch a scheme. So to raise money, they'll sell an embarrassing paparazzi picture of Hannah Montana to a tabloid. This is like the female version of Spider-Man, where she makes a living out of selling her own pictures. That's so weird.
That's cause it is posed.
See, that's the problem. We need to make it look more spontaneous, like you were taken by surprise. We need to, make it...
It's embarrassing, humiliating, demeaning.
I know! She looks like a complete idiot.
He gets it.
However, they accidentally include a necklace in the photo with Miley's name on it, which could expose her secret identity. Realizing the danger, they strike a deal with the magazine.
The world's most popular movie stars, looking more ridiculous than your picture of Hannah Montana. You got a deal.
If they can get an embarrassing photo of the celebrity Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, they'll trade it for a Hannah picture. Determined to retrieve the Hannah photo, Miley and Lily sneak into The Rock's hotel room, posing as a complimentary beauty specialist.
You do not know how close you came to a hangnail, my little box office sensation.
Well, I'm gonna see my mom a little later, so I guess a quick buff wouldn't hurt. Maybe even a little clear coat.
Oh god, they have so many different outfit changes. It reminds me of That's So Raven. Like, how does Disney come up with so many excuses for these teens to dress up as separate identities and really confuse people in their world? I mean, it's working. It's working. Reluctantly, The Rock, actually the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, lets them in, and they proceed to give him a makeover, complete with lipstick, manicures, clip-on earrings, and curlers. Run!
Hey, what?
Just as they're about to sell the picture, Miley feels guilty, understanding the first-hand negative impact of paparazzi on people's lives. She apologizes to The Rock and shows him the picture. In a turn of events, The Rock helps Miley by confronting the magazine guy with a little intimidation, even holding him upside down until he returns the photo. Miley's relieved that he kept her secret safe.
I figured it was the right thing to do.
And meanwhile, in the humorous subplot, Jackson gets a serious sunburn after playing shirts versus skins in a volleyball match at the beach.
And did you remember to put on...
Underwear? Of course, I'm not an idiot.
I was gonna say sunscreen, but I'm glad to hear about the underwear.
And he struggles to hide his sunburn from Robbie, which is really funny. Oh my gosh, another extremely interesting plot with Jackson. It reminds me of the scene in Drake and Josh where Drake pretends not to be ran over by the dune buggy and they make him fight his dad. But I guess it's just funny to watch Jackson and Robbie do it in a non-rude way.
What you need is a good old-fashioned deep tissue massage from hands strengthened by years of steel guitar playing.
I love that we're seeing more into Hannah Montana's double life. Like, this is such a complex issue that only celebrities would deal with, but when you bring it to be about more of a teenager's struggle, then it becomes so much more relatable, and I love that Hannah Montana can do it like that. Especially since we didn't quite have technology there yet, this makes us feel like we know what it's like to be a celebrity more than we used to.
Sure hope nobody's lactose intolerant.
So the next episode is called That's What Friends Are For. The title is a nod to the song That's What Friends Are For by Diane Rorick, Stevie Wonder, Elton John, and Gladys Knight. Miley's taken aback when Jake tells her he wants to keep their relationship platonic. Oh my gosh, Jake, you are hot and cold.
You're not into me at all? Not even a little bit? I mean, come on, it's only been a couple of months. What, are you made of stone?
Leaving her to try to convince herself that she's okay with the just friends arrangement. But as her feelings of jealousy start to surface, Miley as Hannah tries to one-up her rival, Michaela, by getting her fired from her project.
The intergalactic alien babe that I'll be kissing for the next 8 weeks. Michaela!
What?
When the scheme backfires, Miley realizes she's the one acting out of character and confronts her own jealousy.
You're funny. Man, it's too bad you're not famous too. We could have been such good friends.
Miley ultimately decides to embrace a more supportive attitude, so she dresses in an alien costume, pretending to be Michaela, help her out in an attempt to put her jealousy behind her.
Wait, he's not out here. Huh, too bad.
See ya, sucker!
As Miley pretends to be Michaela, she starts insulting Jake to try to ruin their relationship.
I don't care if your mother was a rainbow trout.
Hold that thought. I gotta take this. No, I'm not busy. What's going on, girl?
Cut!
Michaela finally breaks free, fighting with Lily for a moment before she confronts Miley and she runs away. Later, Miley and Jake have a conversation where she shows that she really does respect his boundaries. It just took a really bad publicity stunt.
I was not jealous.
Oh, Miley.
Okay, fine, I was.
This act of goodwill marks a turning point for Miley, and she learns the importance of respecting others' relationships and personal space, even though she went as far to dress up as her. Oh my god, Miley, that is not appropriate. And another episode where they're dressing up as separate people. So it's not even, like, abnormal in this universe that Hannah Montana is also Miley Cyrus. It just seems like you could take on another identity. I wonder how many people cheat on their families with other families in the Hannah Montana universe. And then in the subplot, Rico challenges Oliver and Jackson to avoid showering or changing clothes for a week in exchange for a free month of hot dogs. Dang, these guys are like actual dogs, and Rico is just playing with them at this point.
Showering or changing your clothes until they turn my water back on.
Free hot dogs?
Oh, dude, you are so on.
They both take on the challenge, but Rico later reveals he had access to water the whole time, enjoying his role as the only sweet-smelling guy in the area, and then all the girls want to be around him. Jackson and Oliver's second episode together, after the jerky cheese episode, which is funny because these guys together are just hilarious. I feel like it's rare, but it's so fun when it happens. This is her last, but unfortunately this is Michaela's last appearance, which is so sad because, I mean, I'm assuming it's because she's on Wizards of Waverly Place, but I would love to see this rivalry continue. But unfortunately, we have to put it to rest. And it's revealed in this episode that Jake actually has a trendy twin brother named Mason, adding an unexpected twist to his character's backstory. The next one is Lily's Mom Has a Got It Going On. The title is a nod to Stacy's Mom by Fountains of Wayne, which is a really good song. Check it out. After a PTA meeting, Miley and Lily notice a spark between Miley's dad, Robbie Ray, and Lily's mom, Heather Truscott, played by Heather Locklear. Random.
Just me, or are they actually starting to like each other?
You mean like or like?
Excited about the prospect of becoming sisters, the girls scheme to set up their parents on a date, hoping it'll blossom into a romance and they'll be sisters.
True. After you, sis.
No, after you, sis.
Ooh, lipstick check.
However, the date turns into a disaster, and both parents are not only not hitting it off, but they're really angry at each other.
What goofy thing did your dad do this time?
My dad? How do you know it was my dad's fault?
Have you met your dad?
Miley and Lily start blaming each other's parents for the failed outing, and tensions rise between them. Oh my gosh, a lot of Miley and Lily arguments. The girls ended up in a heated argument, feeling let down by the other's family.
Okay, what are you two arguing about this time? Did somebody forget their friendship week anniversary?
We don't have week anniversaries anymore because we are no longer friends.
Their hopes of becoming sisters crumbles and their friendship becomes strained. But then they end up attacking each other in front of the entire class, leaving Oliver in the middle of it once again.
This one's mine.
Eventually, Miley and Lily realize that they might have pushed too hard and reconcile, understanding that their families are better off as friends.
I'm being attacked by Ceratopia!
In a brief scene at the end, Miley transforms into Hannah, marking one of the few moments she appears as her alter ego in the episode. The episode reveals that Lily's mom knows Aunt Miley's secret identity as Hannah Montana. Heather Locklear is from all those old 80s movies, and it's just so funny. We're gonna end this section of the video with episode 20, I Will Always Loathe You. We get a return of both Aunt Dolly and Mama Ruthie as they arrive to see Hannah accept the music award. Ruthie and Dolly actually have a long-standing feud dating back to high school when apparently Dolly stole Elvis from her, sparking years of animosity.
Too bad Dolly isn't here to see what a real blonde looks like.
Mama?
I'm
Rivalry quickly reignites as Dolly comes downstairs and the two start hurling insults.
Pull your claws in, Miss Kitty. I'm just here to celebrate my goddaughter's big night.
And I am here to celebrate my granddaughter's big night. That is my granddaughter, my kinfolk, a blood relation.
I'm good. Rico's public access commercial, take 2. And action.
Heyo! My name is Rico, and...
Cut.
Miley and her dad Robbie jump in to separate them before things get out of hand. The clash between Ruthie and Dolly gets progressively worse and outrageous. Ruthie actually makes digs at Dolly's appearances, calling her sparkly nails trampy. Using Dolly as an example, why would you use the word trampy in a Disney show? Lily and Miley attempt to show Dolly and Mama how ridiculous they're acting by reenacting their childhood.
Choose you. You stole him, you big-haired, two-timing yakety yodeler.
Well, I'd rather have big hair than a double-wide backside.
Well, at least I don't have a triple-wide ego and a mouth to match.
And Jackson even joins in, dressed up as Elvis, and they try to hope it brings them back together, but surprise, it doesn't.
Don't be cruel. You gotta take all that anger and return to sender, baby.
This is so catty. Things even get sneaky when Ruthie tries to buy Miley a more tasteful award show outfit, only for Dolly to vow to get Miley something that she would actually want to wear. Burn! At the final award show, Ruthie and Dolly promise to Miley that they'll be on their best behavior, and while Miley's on stage, they actually start arguing again about who's funnier.
Elvis thought I had a wonderful comic mind.
Oh, I know what Elvis was thinking about, and honey, trust me, it had nothing to do with your mind.
You take that back.
You make me.
Guys, come on. Bringing up memories of Elvis and pushing each other's buttons until they end up wrestling on the floor.
To stop what they're doing when I need them.
Miley's forced to intervene, pulling them apart and revealing their wigs. Humiliated and angry, Miley tells them that she may never forgive them. And at home, her father advises her to think it over. Miley inevitably apologizes for being so harsh, which is justified this time. Miley, you're not being a bad person. They're being nuts. And the two women decide to make amends, agreeing that their behavior was incorrect. In the subplot, which consists of a total of 2 full scenes, we have Rico trying to make a commercial for Rico's.
My name is Rico, and...
Cut.
He's not so great at it, so in the end, he hires somebody to replace him.
You kidding? He could be your brother.
I am his brother. Now that's a Rico.
And that's about all that happens there. They all share a heartfelt group hug, and the episode wraps on Miley, Dolly, Ruthie, and Robbie singing True Friend together. It's fun to watch adults in arguments, and also watching Miley have to be the bigger person is really funny. It really shows the cycle of miscommunication. Like, Miley and Lily have been the ones having these arguments, but having it be like 2 supporting characters in an argument and the central characters to the show are actually just maneuvering what's going on is very interesting, because Miley gets to actually reflect on her own relationships as she sees these grown women fighting over this. Okay, so now that we've covered all the episodes, it's a perfect time to go through our menu of guest stars. So if you're a fan of Hannah Montana, you'll probably notice that this specific batch of episodes feels almost like Celebrity Central, and that's not a coincidence. I call this the most guest star heavy chunk of the series, and there's like a good reason why. Disney Channel was leaning into its power to pull in big names from all around the world and pop culture. Guest stars become a way of keeping the series exciting, offering fans these wow moments and blending Miley's 2 worlds in an unpredictable way, and it's just so meta that it crosses with the real world in the way it does. Plus, this was Disney's golden era, where the biggest stars could easily jump from show to show, creating the massive crossover that made fans feel like they were part of one big interconnected universe. These cameos and crossovers really helped Hannah Montana feel larger than life, building on the idea that Miley's double life isn't just about juggling 2 identities, it's about mingling with some of the biggest names of all time. So as we get into episodes 11 to 20, keep an eye out for those star-studded appearances, because each one brings something unique to the story, and it's really interesting. It's funny to think that Dolly was played by Dolly Parton. I mean, she was in the first season and she's back, but I just want to note that she's the country music legend known for Jolene and 9 to 5, and for her iconic career as a singer, songwriter, actress, and philanthropist. Her character Aunt Dolly plays Miley's fun-loving, glamorous godmother who knows Miley's double life as Hannah Montana and supports her. Aunt Dolly's warmth and musical talent add to Miley's support system, reminding her of her roots. Dolly Parton's status as beloved music icon adds the depth to her role, making her the perfect mentor for Miley. Although I wish if she was a mentor, she would come up in more episodes, because it's such an interesting premise to think that she has a female mentor. Like, I would love to see dynamics like that instead of just Miley and her father or her friends. And Dolly's presence also highlights the importance of family and the country values in Miley's life. Okay, well then why aren't you in the movie? Vicki Lawrence is an acclaimed comedian and actress, and she's best known for The Carol Burnett Show, and she was the lead in Mama's Family, which is an old sitcom. Mama Ruthie is Miley's tough, outspoken grandmother, fiercely overprotective, and often clashing with Aunt Dolly. Her no-nonsense attitude and southern charm make her the most memorable and sometimes overbearing figure in Miley's life. Vicki Lawrence's comedic skills shine in her portrayal of Mama Ruthie, bringing back the balance of humor and tough love to Miley's family dynamic. Her character helps keep Miley grounded, representing the traditional values and family support that Miley can count on through the up and downs of fame. You know, these characters seem so alike, and I love that we could see them argue as Aunt Dolly is talking about fame and the other one represents country values. Seeing them argue is just so interesting. I wish they were in the movie. And then of course, we can't not talk about Selena Gomez as Michaela. She gained popularity as a Disney star, starting off on Barney and Friends, and became widely known for her lead role in Wizards. She's also a successful singer, producer, and she sings like Come and Get It and Bad Liar. And she plays the character Michaela, who's Hannah's rival, another young pop star who is seemingly sweet on the surface, but competitive and envious of Hannah's success. Kind of reminds me of Sabrina Carpenter. Miley often finds herself clashing with Michaela as they vie for the spotlight. Selena Gomez's role adds a realistic layer to the show, portraying the competitive nature of the music industry. Her presence adds dramatic tension, illustrating Miley's struggle with jealousy and insecurity while staying true to herself. Oh, and then of course we got Jesse McCartney as himself. Jesse McCartney is a pop star singer. I don't know, he's an actor. For the early 2000s hits like Beautiful Soul, and for voicing characters in animated series like Theodore in Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Roxas in Kingdom Hearts. In Hannah Montana, he plays himself and becomes Miley's love interest after meeting backstage at a concert. Miley's thrilled to connect with him, though she quickly realizes the challenges of balancing fame and her personal life, which is always a fun episode. His cameo brings an extra spark of celebrity excitement to the show, with his real-life fame underscoring Miley's challenges with relationships as a young celebrity. And now that we have somebody outside of Jake Ryan, which, okay, Miley, you're just dating blonde guys, I see why you're choosing to be blonde, their encounter represents Miley's desire for normalcy despite her fame. And I love that it's always doomed, because it's like, of course that will never work out. Like, she wants a normal situation from an abnormal person. It's such a interesting relationship. Like, you know how like teenagers want what they can't have, or you want somebody that you know is bad for you? Miley craves what she really wanted growing up, normalcy, in other people, like the celebrities in her life. That's why she's probably attracted to more celebrities than she is necessarily people in her school. But I don't know, she is attracted to people in her school. I don't really know. The Jonas Brothers, of course, as themselves, they skyrocketed to fame as a famous pop rock band under Disney's Hollywood Records with SOS, Burnin' Up, and later coming back again with Sucker. They become the Disney Channel regulars with their own show, Jonas, and movies like Camp Rock. The Jonas Brothers play themselves and share an admiration for Robbie Ray's songwriting talents. Their friendship with Robbie causes Miley to feel left out, sparking her jealousy and eventually leading to a comical misunderstanding that she has to clear up. Jonas Brothers' cameo is one of the show's most memorables, bringing a real-life pop idol into Miley's world. Their presence highlights the competitive and collaborative aspects of show business, kind of like Michaela, and their friendship with Miley emphasizes her need to balance relationships and the pressures of fame. And then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as himself. Okay, so he's The Rock, a global superstar known for his wrestling career in WWE and being an actor in Fast and the Furious, Jumanji, and more. He plays himself in a humorous episode where Miley and Lily attempt to get an embarrassing picture of him, add humor to Miley's dilemma, while the willingness to help her recover from a secret photo shows his softer, supportive side, which is really cute. I love to see celebrities caring for each other. It makes me think of not reality. This episode reflects Miley's struggle with the paparazzi and her decision to prioritize integrity over deception. And then we have Heather Locklear. Heather Truscott, Lily's mom. So she's well known from the 80s and 90s TV and famous for Melrose Place, Dynasty, and Spin City. She plays Lily's mom, who briefly sparks a romantic interest in Robbie Ray, much to Lily and Miley's excitement, and the date doesn't go well, and that's the episode. Her role as Lily's mom brings in deepening Lily and Miley's friendship and testing it through family dynamics. Heather's role emphasizes the show's themes of friendship and family while adding a fresh parental perspective to the series.
I never thought about this too much until this episode, but having Heather Locklear be such a masculine mom, attracting Robbie Ray, really shows where Lily gets her more masculine traits, like wanting to be a skateboarder and not necessarily knowing what it's like to be too girly. It's really cool to see where that's coming from.
I struggle between loving the guest star episodes and not at all, because I hate that these characters, since they're so famous, they don't really come back. How much more story-driven would it be if... I mean, we get to see Aunt Dolly and Ruthie Stewart a bunch more times, but it is still, like, very rare. And I would love to see that be more of a common occurrence. Same with Selena Gomez. Like, why does she have a enemy that, like, comes twice and then never again? It doesn't develop strong enough relationship to feel like there's an issue. And I would love it if Selena Gomez wasn't so famous, or it wasn't her playing Michaela, to have seen Michaela come back often. You know, like, they could easily make these episodes about characters that they intend on keeping, or current characters, to make it more interesting. Although, there is an exception with the Lily's mom episode. It's cool to see Lily and Miley argue about something that's a little bit different than the last couple times they've argued, like the Cuffs episode, the Judge episode. They argue a lot in this season, but I guess it is nice and fresh to see her mom once, because her mom wouldn't be a character that would be common on the show anyway, although I would love to have seen her more than once. Then the Jonas Brothers also, it's like, that's so cool that they have, like, this friendship with Robbie Ray. Like, why can't that be ongoing and come back later? It seems like that they're waiting to invent new plot lines for the episodes, when really they have developed characters that could keep coming back. There's also the positives, where it's like, okay, you add the real celebrities and you have a better understanding of Hannah Montana's world. Like, she is slightly connected to the real world. But I would still give that up for a little bit more character development in this series. Overall, amazing chunk of episodes. I forgot how much I loved seeing all of these. Every one of these episodes I could vividly remember the commercial for it, the promo, all the guest stars, just because there were so many guests to see in this chunk of episodes.
But we also have the most underrated guest star. So underrated that she's actually guest starred way too many times for either of us to remember. That's right, we have not paid enough attention to the most hilarious and infamous detail in Hannah Montana.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Oh, yes, she did. She bamboozled us both.
Yeah, well, your bam is easy to boozle. You still don't know I sneak over to your house and use your hot tub on the weekends. What? Enough of this chit-chat. Let's find that girl.
Roxy. Roxy had a couple appearances in season 1 just being really erratic and intense and overprotective, which is really funny because since Miley doesn't have a mom in her life, this is like another female figure that is actually reoccurring, that unlike the guest stars in this season, don't just come for a couple episodes. Roxy has been in a bunch of episodes in season 1 and even more episodes this season in season 2. She's Miley's guardian angel. Roxy is like the hidden gem of this series. She offers protection to Miley and isn't afraid to keep Miley in her place when she's acting a little bit egotistical. She's on the plane with Miley when Miley's running away, offering her the insight to trust her father a little bit more. And I wish she played a more active role in the paparazzi episode, because being Hannah's bodyguard, I feel like taking the picture and that whole plot would have been a little bit more helpful to reflect on. But so far, adding Roxy a lot more often in the series is really making the show a lot better. I feel like this is the season she's actually in the most too, which is why she shouldn't go underrated. As we start to see less and less of her, I get sadder and sadder. But it's important to acknowledge how important she is to the show. I love seeing her. With that said, we say goodbye to a lot of recurring characters as the show continues, so let's take a moment of memorial.
And that wraps up 11 through 20 of Hannah Montana Season 2. Wow, these episodes, do you guys see why I'm talking about this as the Celebrity Central? Because they are just packed. The series doesn't even do something this intense again. It's just this one specific chunk of episodes. These episodes really dig into fame and glamour and the negatives. Miley's relationship with her family and friends were constantly tested and reminds her that things are only going to get harder the more she grows up. So what's next? As we head into the final episodes of Season 2, we'll start to see the stakes continue to rise as Miley and Jackson's sibling rivalry will start to come to a head, and even one stuffed bear will lead to the season's biggest family feuds. Oh, and then also, we can't forget about Uncle Earl. Yeah, Uncle Earl is going to be coming up. So make sure you guys tune in when we get to the next section of the Hannah Montana Season 2 franchise.
We had a contract and it is legally binding. If I get home and your bedroom is not clean, you can forget about allowance. Okay, bye-bye.
Hannah may be a big rock star,
I'm a pop star.
but she's still just a little sister.
Miley, what's wrong? You saw your yearbook picture?
No, I'm living. What's wrong with my yearbook picture?
It's official, guys. We went over the first 10 episodes of Hannah Montana Season 2, then we went over the second episodes of Hannah Montana Season 2, and now it is time for the final 10 episodes of just specifically Season 2. Yeah, there was 30 episodes in the second season of Hannah Montana. Whether you think that's qualified as an offensive remark or not, that's just the reality of the world we're living. I went over this season a lot, and to be honest, I'm growing very tired of it. I swear, the season went on for like 5 years, but I'm finally ready to put it to rest. If you haven't seen my video already on the final episode, it's a doozy, but if you haven't, just stick around because we're gonna talk about it again. Hannah Montana goes places that you never have expected her to go in the first season and never really wanted her to go by the end of this season. As we gear up toward the third season in the movie, when things get really crazy, we definitely notice a really awkward era for Hannah Montana in this year. You'll be surprised with how many episodes in this specific quadrant you will not remember, but have lived rent-free in my brain for too many years. It was a little too late to be the early second season of Hannah Montana, and a little too early to be the third season of Hannah Montana. And it wears a lot on the actors. I really wish they changed up a little bit more, or just jumped to the third season earlier, but hey, there's more episodes, so I'm not complaining. Oh wait, yeah, I guess technically I am. With our first episode, with Bye Bye Ball, episode 21, of Hannah Montana Season 2. So it features the episode Joey Fatone from NSYNC, which is kind of random, and continues the celebrity cameos situation we've always talked about. Jackson spots a wasp, and in order to kill it, he accidentally rips Miley's teddy bear, Barry. So Jackson ends up basically breaking Miley's teddy bear, Barry Bear. They try to ignore the fact that Miley is still too old to have a teddy bear, and she believes in order to make things fair, she's gonna destroy something of his. So she goes to his room, which is the most disgusting place on earth. I mean, look at this place. This is, how in the world does a human being habitate in this house? This is like the most disgusting episode of all Disney Channel ever. I can't believe how many things Jackson has left behind. Like, this guy is disgusting. It adds a new layer of depth to Jackson and a new reputation that I look down on him a lot more after seeing this. Like, this is so irresponsible. She ends up taking his Joey Vitolo signed baseball and decides to destroy it with a cheese grater. Instead, they accidentally throw it into the garbage disposal, only able to save the skin. And she's excited until Jackson comes back with Barry Bear fixed and apologizing. Now Miley's the guilty one, and she tries to fix the Vitolo ball before he could notice. But even Oliver admits that this was probably the rarest item and worth so much money, and that the fact that she broke it is like a super bad situation.
This was a Joey Vitolo? What kind of an animal are you?
Miley decides that maybe she can get his autograph again and make up for the mistake. So she goes to Joey Fatone's restaurant and tries to get him to sign the new ball. Unfortunately, Oliver already revealed that since he got injured in his 5th home run, he refuses to give any autographs, so it's gonna be a lot to go for. So after Joey says no, Miley finds out that his daughter is actually a really big Hannah fan, and he loves his daughter. So she goes back as Hannah Montana and tries to get him to sign it as a fellow celebrity. Instead, he makes her sing in a show with her and makes her dance with him. Basically, he's like holding this over her head and like, I will give you this autograph if you do this and then do this. And it's just a bunch of funny situations of Hannah having to do ridiculous things in this Italian restaurant. Meanwhile, Jackson tries to question Lily and Oliver about what happened to his ball, leading to him pushing them into his closet, which is the biggest torture ever. Like, how gross is this room? We have to go back to this. This is disgusting, Jackson. This is not human living.
It's okay. It's just a closet. What is that?
Jackson shows up to the restaurant and sees Hannah dancing with Vitolo, and he feels super sorry for her because it is atrocious. Like, poor Miley has to deal with this large Italian man forcing her to sing with him. He says he thinks Miley suffered enough for the ball, and Jackson forgives her. Hannah's happy and pushes Vitolo into a cream pie and rolls him on a cart away from them. In the end, Jackson, Miley, and Robbie eat at Vitolo's, and she finally gets the ball signed. Robbie tells her it was nice to forgive Mr. Vitolo, and then she says she promised Vitolo a dance one last time anyway. She then rips off her normal clothes to reveal that the exact same clothes that Joey Vitolo wears, and then Jackson actually finds out that Robbie signed the ball for him, and it was never his autograph to begin with. But this time, he has a real signature. So Miley actually got him a real autograph. Okay, Miley, good for you. This is the first episode where we see Jackson's room, and not happy about it, I'll tell you guys that much. In this episode, actually, we see Jackson using a Game Boy, which is so funny because I feel like we don't usually point to the culture. It's also kind of random because Nintendo DS was kind of the more popular thing at the time. I don't know why he has a Game Boy. Oh, probably because the actor playing Jackson is like 32, 33 here. But actually, I find that kind of interesting. Jackson's line, "a Timberlake mask couldn't make you look good," is a reference to Joey Vitolo's actor, who actually was with Justin Timberlake in NSYNC. Overall, this is like a really fun episode. I love that we get another celebrity guest star, but they're not like taking the entire plot. It's more of a Miley versus Jackson episode, which I happen to love. I think these guys' dynamic is really opposing and one of the most authentic things in the Disney Channel shows. Like, the brother and sister relationship is just so gross and authentic to who they are, and I don't know, I just think they're really good at playing this off. Although, we can never stop talking about how bad Jackson's room is. I cannot get over it. I never want to watch this episode again just for the fact that every time we enter his room, I get a little bit more sad. Speaking of sadness, that brings us to episode 22. So up until now, we've always had this long-running gag about Uncle Earl, like Uncle Earl did this, Uncle Earl did that, and it's a really funny ongoing bit that never had to be carried out until today. Another guest star, but this guy's not a super famous guest star, but he's a really funny guy. He was on The Office. He was in a lot of animated films as main characters. You guys would definitely know him. David Koechner. We also get an appearance from Gilbert Gottfried. It seems like the celebrity cameos are just never going to end.
Okay, we start out with Jackson raging at the TV because another Hannah Montana song is playing, which is super meta for no reason.
When is this not on?
He's interrupted by Barney Bittman, who is a famous critic. Oliver and Lily are super excited, but Miley is like, ugh, I don't like critics. He mentions that he's going to be reviewing Hannah Montana soon, and Miley quickly turns around and starts caring about his approval, especially since in this fake show. Miley's pretty much worried that she's going to trash Hannah just as much as she did Michaela, so she tries to fake a cold, but obviously Robbie Ray is like, don't let this get to you, it's just a critic. Jackson makes a really good impression of Barney Bittman.
What did that poor state ever do to you?
Miley is determined to give the best performance of her life. She doesn't want any distractions. She doesn't want to be blown apart. And of course, we have Uncle Earl's first appearance right here, right now. Uncle Earl is super pumped to hang out with the family and even comes in.
Ran over this in Texas. Who wants to grill it up?
With roadkill, hoping to eat it. He brings his pet pig Cuddles and compliments the family on their larger-than-life lifestyle. Already, Uncle Earl is as weird as we expected. Miley's concerned about focusing on her concert with their uncle being there, but Robbie Ray just says not to worry about it.
If I know Earl, all he's gonna want to do is run around Hollywood with a map of the stars home and play celebrity ding-dong ditch.
There's a lot of really funny references to them as children, which is always fun because it's partly a joke, partly lore. It must be the first time Uncle Earl is visiting them because Robbie suggests to go to the Hollywood sign, but he says that he's on a mission here and he wants to become a rock star, just like Miley. Uncle Earl picks up one of Robbie's electric guitars and turns out to be one of the worst guitar players ever. Even Lily and Oliver cannot hear afterward.
Never heard anything like it before.
And I may never hear anything ever again. Like that. Because it was special.
It's so funny that this adult man is like trying to have the dream that this teenager is living. It's very topical for 2025. Miley tries to discourage him by saying she's going to be rehearsing all the time, but he's super excited about that. At the rehearsal for the Barney Bittman show, our Uncle Earl makes a complete fool of himself during Rockstar, which is one of my favorite songs, and Hannah is immediately more and more stressed. Robbie tries to stop him, but he's acting like a child and he just wants to play.
Come on, Robbie Ray. I done seen the lighting booth, the sound booth, the dressing room. I just want to watch one song real close up, please.
Already, this guy is such a natural at kids show acting. I mean, like, he's good in The Office, he's good at so many things, and he fits in so well in this world. And Miley plays off of him really good, too. It's like a typical sitcom, like, wacky character and straight person. Robbie calls Hannah Miley in front of the entire band, so I guess the entire band knows her secret, too? It's clear the director in this scene didn't think about who knew and who didn't know Hannah's secret. Miley continues to freak out because Uncle Earl is going to ruin the entire show.
He even injures the guitar player, which means somebody needs to replace the guitar player, and I guess you can pretty much figure out how this is gonna go.
Everybody has them days.
Are you sure you can't play with your feet?
She walks out to find Uncle Earl on the phone with their Aunt Pearl, super excited that he's gonna live his dream and getting all emotional. Miley obviously feels worse. We get to the final show and Miley has stuck to her decision to let Uncle Earl go. She still has a little bit of reservations and tries to give him more notes before they go on stage, but essentially you've signed your death wish, Hannah. In order to combat this issue, Jackson dresses up as Ozzy Osbourne in another attempt to drive him away from this issue.
What are you doing at a Hannah Montana concert?
Oh, is that where I am?
It goes horribly wrong and pretty much pulls off his wig, which is a kind of controversial move. Like, imagine if this actually was Ozzy Osbourne. That would be so disrespectful.
Enjoy the show.
Miley and Robbie then decide that it's going to be too much and Uncle Earl should not go on with them. It's really nice to see that this isn't only Miley's problem, but it's also Robbie's. Like, I love that it's kind of like a dual character moment. In a last-minute effort, no surprise, Miley sees him sat on the side of the stage and asks him to join her on stage. This is like the most stereotypical 2000s thing. It's like, oh, we're not getting along, but let me invite you on stage so we can make up. Honestly, if somebody invited me on stage and I was like in a bad mood, I definitely wouldn't be so enthusiastic. By the end, Miley chooses family over fame. She rocks out with Uncle Earl on stage, and it's so rewarding given all the jokes we've been having about him throughout the seasons, and it's a nice character arc for Miley, even though she consistently needs to learn the same lessons over and over again. And there's this last moment where Uncle Earl can't actually sit up from the bench, so Miley helps him and she drops him, and I swear when this came out, I thought he died. I thought this was a big moment. Why did we only see Miley when he fell? Like, this is concerning. And then of course we go back to just them sitting on the couch, so obviously the audience is freaking out and the cast just doesn't really care. We're trying to hear if Uncle Earl is alive or not, but it's clear that wasn't really that big of a deal, and I guess was worried for nothing. This next episode was one that was always like really near and dear to my heart because I remember a lot of the promos for it. This is the one Hannah Montana episode that like really went off tone for what the show established itself to be.
Obviously they met or we wouldn't even be here.
Jackson?
It's supposed to be this grounded TV show about a teenage girl living a pop star life, but I swear this one is one of those episodes that just completely go off the rails. I mean, we saw something like this in the Make-A-Wish one, where Miley wished to the sky that she was never Hannah Montana, or her secret was never a secret, and that was like the only other time we had like unrealistic standards for what was going on in an episode, and we get another one of those this season. In the way we almost weren't. Her, Robbie Ray, Jackson, they're all like living the tour life in this. And it's funny because it translates really well. Like the bumpy road or makes it easier for her to brush her teeth. Although it seems like they're all starting to get sick of each other because of how confined this space is.
Now, I don't want to hear it. We're going to stop and smell the dang roses and you're going to like it. So clean up your faces, get off this bus and start sniffing.
In the promo for this episode, it was about, like, Miley seeing her parents about to get back together, but they keep disappearing, and I used to think that this was going to be a really crazy episode, and even though it was just a one part, like, I knew I was in for something interesting. Miley has to get back to town soon, so there's a little bit of a rush, making the thunderstorm a lot more threatening. Robbie has had it with their spoiled attitudes and decides to go out to the nearest diner to get a drink, abandoning his children. In another attempt to get his kids to be grateful, Robbie Ray puts his foot down and is like, we're going to eat at this restaurant. He drags them to the restaurant and it's only like an old lady waitress and a rundown shop. Robbie insists that he's going to take his time and he's going to enjoy it even if they don't. Meanwhile, in the B-plot, we have something really uninteresting. It's Oliver and Lily getting stuck to chairs and not being able to get out of it, and they even get stuck on each other's chairs. This is not a plot compared to what's going on. As Miley is about to get Robbie Ray to head out, she gets struck by lightning and falls backwards.
Are you okay? Next time, you're going first.
Suddenly, they go back into the diner and it's this really nice, up-to-date restaurant, unlike what it was a couple minutes ago. The waiters are young, the ambiance is pumping, and Robbie Ray has a mullet? What's even really weird is that Brooke Shields is in this episode. It's cool that she appeared twice and is finally back to reprise her role as Miley's mom. There's not a lot of moments where we get to see them actually interact, but this is one of them in real time.
Like totally lost and kind of in a hurry. Which way back to Highway 10?
Egyptian.
Not just a flashback, not just a video about the flashback. It's happening right here. The siblings realize that they must have gone back in time and she was struck by lightning and they think that they're in just this simulation type thing where they get to watch their parents meet, but it turns out that the parents don't even like each other, as the mom is a distracted waitress and the dad is a know-it-all pop star. Kind of like what he was complaining that Miley was. Miley and Jackson dismiss this, thinking that this is just how it was supposed to be, until Jackson starts to disappear. Suddenly they realize that they're playing a bigger part in this and that their family might not be coming together in the way that they thought it would. Almost like this idea that things don't necessarily happen naturally, or like when you're not playing a role in life, things just go wrong. I don't know, it feels like an episode about accountability. Time goes by, Miley and Jackson are still at the restaurant, and Jackson's trying to hide up his disappearance. Have you ever been insecure that you're going to disappear? Yeah, me too. Jackson tries to talk to his dad, but he's really immature, and it's really funny to see them interact this way.
Don't break my heart, my itchy twitchy heart.
Miley and her mom don't get along either, which is really interesting because, you know, not only are they interacting for the first time, but they're arguing. They start to take a more active role in being like, okay, maybe we should try to get our parents together or else you're gonna fully disappear. And then things take a really dark turn when Jackson fully disappears. Miley runs out of ideas, so she's just like, oh my god, you know what, screw it. She falls onto the floor and tries to create a giant scene.
Somebody help me. Not you.
And in this little act, they finally look into each other's eyes and fall in love. It's interrupted when Miley wakes up again on the trailer floor with Jackson nudging her, so it turns out the entire thing was a dream. Miley realizes that they need to be grateful and look around and smell the roses just like their dad said, and go back into the diner to hear the story of how her parents met. We get to know a little bit more about the Stewart family, only to be interrupted again by this B-plot. I mean, I don't want to see Oliver and Lily getting into sketch-like hijinks just from sitting on a chair. It's getting a little tiring. And why did they end up going to the Stewart's house? Like, they shouldn't have keys there. In the end, I don't even think they, like, get out of the chairs. I think they just keep falling. And the episode goes unresolved. I mean, at least the A-plot was really interesting to make up for the fact the B-plot was a little less climactic.
See, the way we almost weren't is surprisingly similar to the Wizards of Waverly Place movie, and this one came first. I definitely think the Wizards of Waverly Place movie is a definitive edition of this, because clearly they had an hour and a half to do a plot line just like this, so there's a lot more emotional depth and an incredible way of going into it, although I do think Hannah Montana technically did it first, even if they didn't do it better. But that's just worth noting. I don't think we need to get into that super much.
Episode 24, You Didn't Say It Was Your Birthday. It's a play on the lyrics of the song by the Beatles called Birthday, and it says, You Say It's Your Birthday is the song's opening lyrics. So one morning, Miley wakes up and goes down to eat, but she realizes that Robbie didn't make scrambled eggs for her, so she asks Jackson, who knows that Robbie didn't make them both breakfasts. Something suspicious, like why is Robbie acting this way?
What's the matter?
Your blow dryer's on the fritz?
Oh, no, I know what it is, Daddy. You had a dream that I was the only child, and you woke up to that.
Jackson ends up having a flashback about yesterday, how Miley flatters herself as Hannah.
Even though it'll make me late for my date, I'll be happy to drive her. You do so much. It would be a privilege to ease your burden in any way that I can.
But she's like, this did not actually happen that way. And she retells the story where Jackson flatters himself.
You do it. It'll fill that empty void you call your life.
Please, drive me just this once. You don't even have to stop. Just slow down and I'll tuck and roll.
And both of them pretty much try to take advantage of Robbie. Either way, one of you guys disrespected him, okay? So give it up. Meanwhile, Lily and Oliver find a chip that looks like Darth Vader. Oh, these B-plots, guys. Around them start getting really interested in it and start bidding to buy the chip. I don't know why this would make it such a valuable piece of art, but whatever. Meanwhile, Miley and Jackson are still trying to figure out what's going on with Robbie Ray. And, guys, another episode with the siblings versus Robbie Ray. I mean, it's one thing to have them, like, every few episodes, but back to back, like, I just watched you guys disappear for, like, 15 minutes. Like, you guys did all you can do with these plots. Could we please take a break from this? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure this is going to be a good one. But it turns out that neither her or Jackson's theories are correct. He is sad for another reason.
If it wasn't how you acted.
It's not how you acted.
And he ain't gonna tell us anything.
Then what was it?
They see that they actually forgot Robbie's 40th birthday. Whoa, guys. Big deal this time. That was sarcastic. Robbie's always mad at them. Miley and Jackson prepare for a surprise party, but she has to go to a CD signing somehow at the same time. Ugh, Miley just never has it easy, huh? So one by one, the fans come up for a signature, and she has to get through all of these autographs in time to have a surprise party. Robbie keeps dropping the hints that the number 40 is super important. And both the siblings know what he's talking about now, but it's funny. They continue to pretend like they don't. When they actually finally get the party together, it's really depressing because it turns out the entire Stewart family forgot about Robbie's birthday. Like, it wasn't just Miley and Jackson's.
No, we didn't forget. Tonight? No, we didn't forget. Okay, so we forgot. Your Christmas lights are still up. Who are you to judge? So are you coming? Hello?
Jackson has to invite the delivery guy, the gas station waitress, and a balloon blower, and a small band who calls themselves the Aristocats. Robbie is super surprised when he sees the party, and at first he seems to be frustrated, but we later find out that he's actually super happy about it, and he appreciated the effort. I guess Miley and Jackson actually were able to make up for the fact that they forgot his birthday. And he accepts their apology. Story ends with Jackson giving Robbie a free dessert coupon, and they all have a group hug. In the B-plot, Rico tries to set out a big offer for this Darth Vader-shaped chip. Yeah, we forgot that was happening. When Rico puts it under the microscope, it turns out that all the chips look like countries or characters that belong to Rico, so he has to have the chip. But they end up running away instead. In the end, Rico's chasing Lily and Oliver over the chip, but then finally a dog eats the chip. Lily, Oliver, and Rico end the episode chasing each other with a tune of Yakety Sax, which is the same end-running theme of the classic 60s, 70s, and 80s TV show, The Benny Hill Show. Random reference. I didn't notice until I looked this up, but when Rico enters the beach sounding like Darth Vader from his point of view, you could see to the left side of the screen that Miley Cyrus is actually in this. This is one of the very few episodes in which Lily and Miley don't interact with each other like at all. This episode also reveals that Robbie Ray was born in 1968, meaning that he was 20 years old when he met Miley's mother. And we learn that Lily's dad is an accountant. Well, we don't see him yet, and I'm excited to because I love John Cryer. Hannah in the Street with Diamonds is a parody title on the song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which is a really impressive title change. I think this is one of my favorites over the entire show. Season 2, episode 25. We're about to surpass the first season of 26 episodes, and this show is already wearing a little bit. I definitely think 30 episodes is overstaying your welcome for a season, but kids shows, I guess, are different. So Miley, Oliver, and Lily are checking out the Hollywood stars and take a picture outside of Madonna. Miley's excited because finally she's
gotten a star for Hannah Montana on the Walk of Fame. She's disappointed to find out that it happens to be under a hot dog stand. They meet a hot dog guy that is slinging hot dogs on top of Hannah's star and refuses to move, essentially. Miley is insistent that she is not a diva, but when people start actually spitting on the star, she starts to have a problem, which I would too. This is completely fair in this scenario. Like, Miley's not being a diva. Miley has a talk with Robbie Ray, who has insight because obviously he's been a celebrity too, so that's kind of a cool backstory. He says not to worry about it because it's just a star, but then when Miley asks him to switch with him, he's basically like, no, I like my spot. Meanwhile, in the B plot, Jackson can't get to work because his car breaks down, and I don't recognize this car super well. I guess he just has a different car every few episodes. And Rico has no sympathy. Robbie Ray shows up to take over Jackson's role for the day, and already this episode's off to a fun start. Meanwhile, Miley is trying to get her star changed, so she meets up with one of the guys who does it, I guess. Mr. Garrison. Apparently she was going to have a completely different spot, but this guy switched it to make room for Pancake Buffalo, which is one of his childhood favorite. He even has a giant mural in his office. Hannah decides she's gonna go talk to this one. Meanwhile, Robbie can't handle being an employee, even though his hair is literally getting in the food. I don't know whose side I'm on at this point. And this plot is just about him having to wear a hairnet. But I do like that an adult man is being bossed around by Rico. Like, he's literally so small. So to see him be so authoritative is funny. Jackson eventually returns, and it turns out that Robbie actually glued him to the bottom of the surfer shop. Oh my gosh, you can't do that, Robbie.
Oh, Rico!
Miley shows up on Pancake Buffalo's set to actually meet the puppeteer and try to get her spot back. Even Lily and Oliver know who Pancake Buffalo is, so I guess this is just a world-renowned thing in there. The puppeteer playing him is a really sweet old lady, but refuses to talk to her outside of Pancake Buffalo. After a second.
No, you don't need to use your angry voice.
You know, she's always had a problem with that.
Zip it.
Anytime she has to discuss her star, she has to talk to Pancake Buffalo, which is the puppet. This puppet has got a lot of sass and energy, and I hope he becomes a recurring character on the show.
There's no Cindy down here. Now let me hear that happy voice.
Okay.
She goes back to Mr. Garrison to express her disbelief in this puppet, but he's on her side, of course. Meanwhile, Pancake Buffalo's getting ready for his ceremony on the Walk of Fame, and he gives Mr. Garrison one last show, and this guy just dances like a kid. I mean, this is kind of how I am with old kid shows. We see Oliver dressed as a cop and are aware that something's about to go down. They distract Mr. Garrison as Lily comes with a strudel cart, distracting the puppeteer long enough for Miley to step in for Pancake Buffalo and try to ruin his reputation. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Miley's actually good at being a puppet so far. This is funny. She trashes Mr. Garrison publicly and even bites his nose. But of course it's too late. The puppeteer comes back and Mr. Garrison realizes that it's not her.
Pancake?
Miley comes to terms with the fact that she's not going to get the spot she wants, but it doesn't matter because her fans appreciate it, which is a really sweet ending. And she gets one small final win as a porta potty lands on Pancake Buffalo's star, which is kind of worse than Hannah's. And there's a little funny moment where we're watching Pancake Buffalo trash everybody that's walking by him, and it's kind of funny. Did you know that actually Robbie Ray and Rico technically meet for the first time? I mean, they've been mentioned a lot. Their plots can somewhat overlap, but this is the first time Robbie Ray and Rico actually meet, and it's funny because Robbie Ray does not have a tolerance for this kid, which is definitely in tune with his diva-like persona that comes out of Robbie every now and then. I wish they touched upon that in the movie a little bit. It seems a little unfair that Miley is judged super heavily for being a diva in the movie, but then suddenly he could act out whichever way he wants. Then we have episode 26, Yet Another Side of Me. Hannah's meeting with her stylist, Daliano, which is cool because we don't usually see her have a relationship with a stylist so far. And she's basically like, I love my new outfit, it's awesome. Even though it's been 26 episodes and she's really just worn different styles of glitter. Perhaps you guys change your wig or do something in time for the next season. And Daliano is buttering her up. He's like, you're my favorite client and everything, until one other client walks in. Daliano claps and all of the Hannah stuff is replaced with this girl. I guess her name's Ice and she's kind of like a Madonna ripoff, because I guess she's a little more famous and we kind of feel bad now. Hannah has like an interaction with this famous girl, and it's kind of different than her relationship with Dolly, which is interesting because that's her celebrity connection. But seeing her starstruck for another star is very cute. Turns out that this woman is a little bit more snotty than we think and makes fun of her.
Nothing to be ashamed of.
I wasn't. Until now.
Which I imagine the actual entertainment industry doing more of. She explains to Miley that her fans are not going to be interested in her for long unless she changes and adapts, which is kind of relevant for being episode 26 of season 2. It's so funny because she is inevitably going to change in 4 episodes from now, so just the fact that even if this episode ends that way, it's not going to stick. Or she's going to inevitably follow this rule anyway, so what's the point? I like that she cares a lot about this girl's approval. And this woman's not really famous, so I don't know what the point is. Maybe because they didn't want an actual celebrity to trash Miley in this episode, that would kind of make them look bad. Hannah comes back sad to Robbie Ray, basically saying that like she knows she's going to become irrelevant very soon, which is definitely an accurate trail of the media landscape. 2 back-to-back episodes about Hannah embracing the diva-ness of having a Hannah persona and like trying to figure out what is a battle worth fighting for. Robbie tries to be comforting, but just like the last episode with Pancake, he seems to care about being a celebrity too much. I don't know what the side is of him. He's been way too into it lately. Meanwhile, Jackson goes on a date with Tawny from Sunny with a Chance. Is this a crossover episode? No, because she's a different character with a different name. But then again, Sunny with a Chance didn't come for a couple years, I don't think. Rico basically embarrasses Jackson in front of her, but she thinks it's super funny. Jackson reveals to Rico that he actually needs a raise. Rico agrees to it pretty quickly, as long as Jackson barks every time somebody says the word dog, which seems like a really simple thing, but it obviously becomes taken way too seriously by Rico. This muscular man at the beach questions Jackson immediately, and Jackson can only bark in response. I don't know how Rico could have planned this, but it's really funny.
You calling my girlfriend a dog? Woof. Oh, that's it! Your dog meat!
Miley fantasizes about what other options she has as Hannah Montana. We see Miley in a black void as different caricatures of what Hannah Montana could be.
Don't like it? Well, I don't really care because I'm $half Hannah and I got facial hair. Word.
I think Drag King is in. Then we see Miley in a black void, even with the yellow pot on her head. It just seems like she's some kind of mime, and it's all kind of disturbing. I think this is going to be in my nightmare soon. Hannah is depressed because, of course, the woman who gave her the advice is the queen of pop, so if she doesn't listen, she is going to become irrelevant. That's when Miley finally settles she wants to be a rock, heavy metal version of Hannah. Her friends and family are super surprised and try to be supportive, but really, it's not a good look for her. Miley essentially tells them she doesn't have a choice. She has to do something.
We hate her. Why?
She scares us.
Despite the fact that her friends are straightforward scared of her as that. In the B-plot, Jackson calls out Rico for bullying people all the time. Like, how does he not have any friends? And he says that he's friends with his brother, Mateo, but it turns out Mateo doesn't even like him. It ends in a sweet moment where Rico and Jackson realize that they actually are friends because most of their interactions are together. I don't know if that's what qualifies as a friendship, but sure, you guys can use this, I guess.
You want to go back to my house and pay my brother to dance like a monkey?
Miley argues with Robbie Ray's old figurine, which is funny because, of course, he's a celebrity. He gets his own figurine. In a dream with a CGI building that kind of looks like the Tipton, Miley shows up as a Hannah Montana in a red wig and gives her heavy metal side. A Girl Scout troop. Turns out all the Girl Scouts actually love it and follow exactly in her footsteps and start wrecking the entire place. Imagine Mike and Lola having to adjust to this new persona. Like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna be like emo anime type characters? I'm actually curious to see them as Miley supporters just as much as I want to see the heavy metal Hannah. Miley realizes her influence and her impact on the fans, and Robbie's taken on a stick out of the room. This sequence is so funny, one of the funniest moments in all of Hannah Montana, because it's just like, of course this would happen. Miley wakes up from the dream, and thank God she does not have to suffer the consequences. Robbie has a talk with her and says that her fans will always be there as long as she's herself, which, I'm sorry Robbie, that's not how the technology age works. Miley finally concedes and decides to stay herself. With one last visit to her stylist, she learns that Ice is actually dressed up as her. I guess that's her next new thing, which is funny because it means that Miley already was the new thing. So that's a perfect reflection of how an older generation person tries to bash a mentee. I wish we got to see more of this girl throughout the episode because it's kind of cool how she is like an antagonist to Miley despite the fact that she's like an elder. Like if Dolly was like this, that would be such a different story, but thank God she's not. That would be terrifying. Yet another side of me kind of reminds me of Miley's Can't Be Tamed era, or even Wrecking Ball. You know, like this is exactly what mirrored reality. Really took on this persona where she was defying the social norms of what a pop star was, and I think it's super iconic. And even though at the time people were kind of critical to her about it, I feel like this episode's a good, you know, answer to that question. Like this episode really shows that like she cares about the fans, and that's kind of what mattered in the long run. And, you know, through her career choices, I definitely think she did the right thing. Since we're not talking about too much pop culture things, we're not going to get into it a lot, but it is really cool that every event that happened in Hannah Montana kind of mirrors Miley Cyrus's real life, as these are scenarios she's spent a lot of time in and got time to understand and think about, and it's really cool that we actually get to see that in the show. Like, that's the bigger impact of this show, and probably why it's lasted so long, because it is so much more relevant than we all give it credit for. Next we have The Test of My Love, which is the 27th episode of season 2. This is where the episodes get a little random. It's more of a Miley dating episode than a Hannah episode, but I guess it does come up. This is definitely one of the forgettable episodes for me, if I'm being honest. I don't remember a lot of what went down in this, maybe because it doesn't tie into the main premise super well. Not like it's bad, it's just off. It could be done in any Disney Channel show.
What if it turns out that he's the one? At your wedding, I'll be able to say that I was standing right next to you when you completely ignored me and walked away.
There's a wealthy, snobby couple that are donating $250,000 to build a playground. While listening to them, Miley falls head over heels for this teenage boy named Trey. When Miley's like trashing the parents for being snobby and rich, Trey reveals that he's actually their son, and he is also filthy rich. Lily is super into the relationship, and it's not just like a normal crush. It seems like she wants to get married to this guy, which makes sense because he's blonde and looks like Jake Ryan a little bit, which is enough for her, I guess. We come back to Miley admiring the sand that Trey was standing on, which this is kind of going a little far for her. Miley gets a call from Tracy once again, and I like that she has like a fake friend. Like it's very infamous to have a fake friend, especially if you're a celebrity, I guess. She tells her about her Putt Putt for Puppies charity event.
What did she want? To make sure I was wearing mauve.
What?
Mauve.
What? Fireball!
When she's making fun of Tracy, she is surprised by Trey, who actually comes back to the beach looking for her. She's embarrassed, so he tries to make her feel better by wearing a watermelon from the trash can on his head. This is not a move, Trey. I don't know why you thought this would work. Trey asks her out officially and says that he wants her to meet his parents. Then we have a short, I'm not even sure if this is a B-plot, but a bunch of people that Robbie hired to clean Jackson's room will just simply not do it because it is so toxic it could kill people. Yeah, I told you guys a couple episodes that Jackson's room is just downright disturbing. And Jackson enters, clearly the owner of the room, and does not know how to clean up after himself. Robbie gets mad, saying like, this is enough, like you have to clean your room. But Jackson does not see an issue with this. I love that Jackson's room becomes a recurring character. Like it's not even just one episode. It's like he genuinely has to clean it at this point.
And putting them in the closet where they belong. No, Dad, I wouldn't do that. Ugh.
What if we just stuck together all the separate plots that had to do with Jackson's room and we made it seem like it was a feature film about Jackson having to get over his room's dirtiness? I don't know, that would be kind of funny to me. Miley prepares for her date with Trey by acting all pretentious and getting into a really classy outfit. English inspired, and I don't know how this would impress the parents. So she goes on a date. Lily convinces her to go as herself and that like maybe the parents will like her. Sure, everything will work out. But uh-oh, turns out on the date, the parents are as pretentious as she thought and call her like a hillbilly.
They call it sweetbreads.
Doesn't taste like bread.
That's because it's cow pancreas.
They talk down to her as if she's like a peasant just because she doesn't have as much money as them, and it's kind of really insulting, especially because Miley has the secret of being a little bit more classy than she comes across. It's sad though because it's like they're basically asking her to pull in order to be accepted, and this is like one of the moments where Miley just straightforward denies it the entire time, and I like that. I like that she really stands up for her heritage. She accidentally tells them that her parents are rich or that she lives a rich lifestyle. Trey's parents insist they want to see her house right now, which I wouldn't accept, guys. I would just say, don't. No, you're not coming over. Miley calls Robbie and Jackson, who are actually in the middle of cleaning his disgusting room, so there's no worse time to actually have this event. But luckily, just in time, Miley brings over the parents, and Jackson and Robbie are all done up, ready to impress them. They act snotty and funny, and this part is just, this is just really funny because we know who they actually are, and seeing them try to be super different is really cool.
Sweet niplets.
Especially Jackson, knowing he just walked in with stuff on his face. And the accents they put on are so cringe. They end up pushing the parents to the limit, and they see through the facade. Miley gives one little speech about how she doesn't care what they think. She tries to say something good about Jackson, and she can. And this is just one of the funniest moments in this entire season.
And my brother, let me just tell you, my brother. What are you gonna do? Can't pick your family.
Surprisingly, Trey actually stands up for Miley and agrees with her that his parents are snotty and they're tired of it. The parents leave in a huff through the back door, only to be surprised that all the stuff from Jackson's room were piled up behind it. They collapse under the clothes and all is well. Trey ends up having dinner with the family in a really realistic setting, and they all get along really well. I don't understand why we never see Trey again after this episode. It's also interesting because this is an episode where Miley almost exposed her secret to Trey and his parents, which is crazy because it's like Miley doesn't have a lot of slip-ups, but the fact that this is like bothers her so much that she's almost going to accidentally reveal her like lifetime secret, like that's crazy. I like how the B plot actually coincides with the A plot, like the fact that Jackson's room was a mess didn't actually ruin the rest of it, but you know.
Now we have episode 28 of season 2 of Hannah Montana, Joannie B. Goode. Its title is a reference to the song Johnny B. Goode by Chuck Berry.
Okay, so we start off on Miley dreamily listening to this audiobook that Lily also has seen to show how romantic the two girls can think. They're interrupted by Joni, who's walking by and makes fun of them. You remember Joni, she's like kind of the school bully. She's been around since the second season. I mean, this season has been kind of like an antagonist for the girls. A love story happens right in front of them. Yeah, it seems like Joni drops her book and Oliver helps pick them up right after she bullies the girls. I always had fun with this episode because it is a funny concept that your best friend is dating your bully, I guess. I mean, how often does this happen in kid shows? I know there's like times where it's like you don't like the significant other that's being dated, but can you imagine the bully? Suddenly Oliver is in love with her, and Lily talks about how Joni has bullied her whole life, which is weird because why didn't she come up in the first season at all? And it's really cute because we see an exact replica of one of Lily's first season outfits in this flashback. And this little girl who's been in a lot of Disney Channel shows is also there.
I love my kite. I love my kite. I love my kite.
They basically tell Oliver he's crazy, but it's clear that he's smitten. Meanwhile, in the B plot, Jackson falls for a new girl that comes by the surf shop, and it seems like they have a really good connection until Rico reveals that it is his sister. Meanwhile, Lily and Miley are talking about how the date probably went, saying hopefully it was awful, hopefully it was terrible. But Joni and Oliver come in already holding hands. Joni is not interested in pretending like she even likes the girls. Oliver talks her down from being angry, which is kind of funny because they literally went on like one date and they're already like a married couple. Oliver is earnest that he wants his best friends and girlfriend to get along, and when they realize that it's important to him, they decide, yes, we're gonna have a sleepover with Joni and we'll try to get along.
Fine, we'll invite her.
Girl always says say what?
As they get ready for the sleepover, Lily talks about different ways she could scare her, like putting a snake in her sleeping bag, and I'm already concerned. Oliver and Joni come by, getting ready for the sleepover, and Joni is dreading this just as much as the girls are. Miley tries to put on a best face, which is sweet of her. The three girls engage in a really aggressive pillow fight, and it's clear that it's not just about having fun here. Already, this slumber party is off to a devastating start. They disagree over what to watch, making fun of each other's choices, and Joni even trashes Hannah Montana, which is a fair assessment. Oliver watches from the window to make sure everything's going okay, which could seem caring, but I'm a little scared.
Then why aren't you sitting with her?
How do you know that?
Joni and Lily actually start bonding over celebrity gossip, which is funny because Miley was the one that's optimistic about it, and now suddenly Joni and Lily are getting along. Meanwhile, Jackson goes on a date with Rico's sister, and he cannot get Rico out of his mind. Rico even appears on the face of this girl, which is not how siblings work. Let's take a break from this one because it's getting scary. Miley congratulates Lily for getting along with Joni, but Lily admits that it was actually pretty genuine and they had a good time. Joni and Lily are actually really good friends now. Oliver comes in and is super happy, and Joni even tells Oliver that they're gonna have a hockey game, which Miley did not know about. Oh gosh, this is already pretty catty. I was kind of like this at this age, where I would be jealous if my friends were friends with other people. Miley starts having intrusive thoughts about all of her friends getting along without her, which is super fair. And she's determined to make sure that they don't actually get closer to each other, which is kind of dark. Jackson tries to get over his fear of seeing Rico all the time, and he actually mistakes Rico for his sister and dips him trying to kiss him? What the heck is happening in this?
And this is gonna fix everything.
The girl is officially turned off by Jackson, and we all get it. Meanwhile, Miley is trying to fit in with Joni and Lily, so she insists on getting involved in their hockey game. Miley is understandably terrible at hockey, but it's nice to see Lily's old hobbies coming back to play a role in the plot. I feel like in the third season, we almost completely abandoned her sportsman-like attitude, but I don't know. I feel like this is a nice comeback. Lily breaks it to Miley that she stinks at sports, and she learns firsthand as somebody tackles her into the goalie. Miley is incapacitated as Lily and Oliver take care of her and have a conversation with her about why she shouldn't be jealous and she doesn't have to pretend to be different in order to fit in with them. And it's all resolved when they see Joni get hurt just as much as Miley did. I can't tell if Miley learned a lesson here. In the last scene, Jackson hits on another girl but sees Rico on her shoulders. Jackson has some really weird intimacy issues that involve his boss way too much. I mean, it's funny for a kid show because obviously it's not that deep, but it's still kind of crazy. Okay, then we have one of these infamous episodes. We're getting on season 2, episode 29 now. We're all in this date together. So Miley's at a celebrity auction where they're trying to raise money by selling a date with Hannah Montana. There's a really funny bit where Ray Romano is there, and I love Everybody That Loves Raymond, so this is a really funny bit for me. And nobody knows who he is, and then obviously Hannah gets immediately auctioned, and he's like, what the heck is going on? The cold open ends with Corbin Bleu bidding on Hannah. I don't know if you guys remember, but Corbin Bleu is from the first episode of Hannah Montana, and they even have a flashback remembering it, so that way the audience is caught up, which is fair. He was in one episode, how would we know that? But he gets in a bidding war with Rico, who also wants to go on a date with Hannah Montana.
20,000!
I mean, of course, Rico does not know that Miley is Hannah, but, just remember that. Miley has a fantasy about dancing with Corbin Bleu in If We Were a Movie, and it's interrupted by another fantasy with Rico running with her in a grass field and a giant tornado following them. In the end, Corbin Bleu and Rico agree to go on the same date with Miley, who is really angry about this situation. Corbin Bleu's name is Johnny in this, but I'm not going to call him that. There's only one Johnny, and this one is 2000. I can't tell if that was a positive thing, though, now that I said it. In the B-plot, Roxy is worried about meeting an old friend from high school and appearing like she has not been successful. So she apparently told her that she lives in a Malibu house with a husband in hopes that Robbie was away this weekend. This is one of the most stereotypical sitcom plot lines, but since it's Roxy, I'm gonna forgive it. One of those characters gets ready for their family reunion and lies about having a better life. Yeah, that is very common. It turns out to be the woman from Abbott Elementary, which is really exciting given the context now. Robbie agrees to play along because he feels bad for Roxy, and the plot is kicked off. Meanwhile, Rico is bragging to Miley about how he has a date with Hannah Montana coming. When seeing Lily and Oliver sick, Miley realizes she has the perfect way to get out of the date. So she has Lily and Oliver try to spend too much time with Rico so he can become super sick. This is messed up, Miley. Can you imagine in the COVID era, Miley would go to prison if this were the case. Rico inevitably does end up getting sick and even sells food to the customers with his germs in it. Oh my god, this is gross. So then we cut to the date. Corbin Bleu is getting ready to see Hannah, and Hannah is expecting to go one-on-one. But she's surprised when Rico does inevitably show up as his sick self. The three sit on their sushi date together, which is, I didn't know you could have a minor bid to go on a date with a celebrity. It just feels weird to me. And he sits on her lap for a picture. Guys, this is so uncomfortable. It's always so funny because one of the only people in the theme song that doesn't know she's Miley. So this is really fun to watch. Roxy insists on treating Jackson and Robbie like they're family, and they actually get into full arguments. Meanwhile, Miley continues to try to get Rico to leave the date looking like a fool in front of Corbin Bleu, Johnny. Her mistreatment even goes so far that Rico is knocked from the bench into the crab tank. He's annoyed, but not as annoyed as Corbin Bleu. Corbin Bleu thinks she's a celebrity jerk and essentially writes her off, which is really fair in this scenario. Miley, you literally bullied this child. Meanwhile, Roxy actually admits to her former friend that this is not her life and she's happy the way she really is. And she doesn't need to have a snotty, rich lifestyle in order to be happy.
Way to go, Clarice. This is why we don't have any friends.
Kicking her old friend out of the house and therefore growing as a character, and thanking Robbie for participating, even though it was kind of an inappropriate ask. Oliver and Lily comfort Miley, who is now sick, which is fair. Miley, you kind of deserve that. And Miley runs into Johnny one last time. Corbin Bleu. It's clear that there's still a chance between the two, until she pukes on his feet. And it ends just the way it's supposed to. Although there is one last scene where Jackson pretends to play the piano like he did earlier in the episode with a huge candelabra, and it's the most unnecessary end ever. But it's funny because he pretends to be really good at it, and then when Robbie turns off the speaker, it seems like he did it all on his own, but it turns out he just brought a tape recorder.
I just wanted you to love me.
Fun fact, when Miley and Corbin actually sing If We Were a Movie, there is a track on the Hannah Montana 3 album of them singing that song together, and it's actually way better than the original. I definitely advise you guys to check it out. Whew! You see what I mean about these episodes going on for longer and longer? But you know what? That kind of leads us to the finale of Hannah Montana Season 2. This didn't end in a completely comfortable way. Now, sometimes you want to leave seasons with like a really cool cliffhanger or something really intense to happen, and Hannah Montana definitely did that in the 3rd season, no spoilers yet, but in this season, there really was kind of an anticlimactic end. Not only was this like a random episodic episode, it was actually one of the episodes that got pulled, canceled, brought back later into Season 3, so Hannah Montana Season 2 didn't exactly have a conclusive finale like you would hope. In fact, this final episode even was taken off the air. I talk more about it in my other video, but if you haven't seen that yet, I'm probably going to cover it in the exact same way right now. So stay tuned.
Season 2, Episode 30, No Sugar Sugar, and or Uptight, Oliver's Alright, is essentially a forbidden episode that never really got to air. Disney Channel did their best to hide it, but it's here now. Even the fact that it's under 2 names, like Uptight, Oliver's Alright, and No Sugar Sugar, should already be a red flag. Like, why did they need to change the name immediately? So Miley runs to Lily to tell her that somebody is crushing hard, and it's not her, it's Oliver. So then Oliver makes his grand entrance, which is really funny, and they interrogate him to figure out who it is. Oliver admits that there is somebody, but she's not even in their grade. But they still interrogate him anyway. Oliver relents and just heads out. He does not give them an information. Lily and Miley agree that they are still going to try to figure it out. They spy on Oliver when he goes in to talk to a teacher. Immediately, the audience, even the laugh track, is uncomfortable because it's a teacher. Can already tell why this episode isn't working. Miley and Lily are shocked and don't go to the guidance counselor, which I think you guys should do. Miley reminds Lily that she had a crush on the French teacher, so this is not abnormal. And Amber and Ashley even make appearance in this episode. There's a little moment where Miley is defending Lily about how many boyfriends she's had, and this is just really funny.
She's had a ton of boyfriends since then. Okay, fine, 2. And Lucas cheated on her, so that doesn't really count. And the other one she took to court for refusal. Stop helping me!
In the B plot, Jackson actually got a B, which is funny because it's the B plot. And Robbie Ray is super happy, even telling his girlfriend to call him Happy Pappy, which... red flag alert. When Jackson leaves the room, Robbie overhears his girlfriend talking about breaking up with him. Oh my god, poor Robbie in this scenario. I would be freaking out if it was my father. If my father found out that my girlfriend was breaking up with me before I did, that's gonna be a boundary issue. Robbie is emotionally distressed and Jackson tries to comfort him.
Pull it together, old man. It's not like it's the last B I'll ever get.
Wanna bet? Lily and Miley try to find a replacement girl for Oliver to like when they run into Oliver once again. This time, Miley and Lily actually confront the teacher. But when I say Miley confronts someone, I mean she steps in front of them and just basically lies until she gets information. But they do get to the point pretty quickly. The teacher says she wanted it to be a secret, and they continue to think that this is true, that he has a crush on her. Right before the commercial break, we learn it's because he has diabetes, and he's there asking for help. Miley and Lily feel really embarrassed that they found something out out about Oliver without him knowing. Which this is hitting a new low, and I feel really bad for Oliver because it's like, this is not just a normal secret. This feels like real life, real world secrets as opposed to Hannah Montana's double life. Teacher talks about what it's like to live with diabetes, and I'm pretty sure this is why the episode got rewritten because they gave out false information. Miley wants to help him, but Miley reads up on diabetes and starts to become obsessed with how she's eating sugar. Robbie admits that Miley has definitely kept secrets from him before, quote-unquote Hannah Montana, so this is fair. Then we go back to the funny B plot where the girlfriend is about to break up with Jackson, and Robbie interrupts as much as he can because he just wants his son to keep getting good grades. Robbie admits that he overheard she's gonna break up with him.
You wanna break up with me?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a miscommunication. I thought this would be like, oh, she wasn't really going to. Then she thanks Robbie Ray. Meanwhile, Jackson has to comfort Robbie about his own grades. Miley takes Lily and Oliver, which is Mike and Lola, to a party. They put on this facade that they're still trying to get him a girlfriend. Lily says it's important to just get his mind off of things. I feel like they're portraying diabetes to be like a really bad thing, and I could see why that's an issue. Miley realizes that the party they brought him to is a sugar party. There's candy everywhere. Oh my gosh, I want to go to this party, guys. I cannot get over it. Oh, Tracy's in the episode. I love to see Tracy. It makes me remember that Hannah Montana has a separate life. This is interesting, though, because her wig is kind of leaning toward the third season. So Lily and Miley try their best not to tell Oliver that they found out his secret before he was okay with it, and instead start meddling in his life by stopping him from eating anything that's at the party. Oliver's focusing on talking to girls, and doesn't really notice they're acting weird until she starts eating the licorice that's in his hands. Miley and Lily take it way too far, going as far to eating it all and wearing it. Oliver admits he hadn't had anything all night, so he gets a cupcake, only for Miley and Lily to overreact and tackle him. They admit that they found out from the school nurse that he has diabetes. Oliver explains that diabetes isn't that simple, and that he needs a little bit of sugar just like everybody else.
I didn't get to finish that pamphlet because I got ice cream all over it.
Shh, don't say ice cream in front of me.
Sorry.
Guys, I have type 1 diabetes, which means I can't have stuff with sugar in it.
They end the episode with an informational session with the audience where the actors playing the characters actually talk about diabetes, which I don't think this saved them. And then Jackson comes out and his hair is completely cut as if they got ready for season 3 already. And Jackson comes to make a little bit of a joke at the end, which I could also see would be problematic.
And I learned that someday I'm gonna be good looking and I'm gonna inherit a lot of money.
Overall, this episode isn't shockingly bad. It is a little bit of misinformation. The episode was held back until season 3 in order to be refilmed, and it's the last episode that uses the original title sequence. So it was supposed to air on November 2nd, but ended up serving as the finale of season 2, and it was pulled due to complaints of parents that belong to the nonprofit Children with Diabetes. It's an organization that spread awareness after watching a sneak peek of the episode from Disney Channel On Demand. Parents of the organization saw the episode in poor taste and thought it was completely misinformed of its main topic. It aired on Disney Channel in other countries, though, but, you know, other countries are less sensitive about this stuff. The episode was then reevaluated, and a modified version was aired on September 20th in the US. According to Mitchell Musso, the episode was edited, scenes were reshot, and the episode title was changed to Uptight, Oliver's Alright instead of No Sugar Sugar. Oh, okay, so that's the official name. Even though the original take was pulled, the original episode aired during a rerun block of the show on the American Disney Channel once, which is most likely a programming error. Thanks to the Hannah Montana wiki, we actually have a good tracking of everything that was changed. In No Sugar Sugar, Oliver seems to have type 2 diabetes, and Uptight Oliver is alright. He explicitly mentions he has type 1 diabetes. The two types can occur in teenagers, but it is very rare, hence the change. While two types are possible to occur in teenagers, it is very rare, which is why they changed it to that. There's a scene where Oliver jumps in the trash can to seek for candy, but they actually took that out. One of the continuity errors, though, was that Miley and Lily suspected that Oliver had a crush on the school nurse, but he already began dating Joanie 2 episodes earlier, so this wouldn't have made sense. Miley, Lily, and Oliver actually look significantly older at Tracy's birthday party, and it's kind of obvious. Tracy's complaining about Hannah and Lola's craving for sugar at the party is different in both versions. In No Sugar Sugar, she got chocolate poured on her and ran off crying, saying, "I'm so done with sweet 16s. And then in the new version, Uptight Oliver's Alright, she complained to the leaving guests that she had enough food to feed 2 whales. Okay, that's a subtle change. In No Sugar Sugar, Lola visibly gets stomach issues after eating too much candy at Tracy's birthday party. But in the final version, it just had them being bloated. At the end, in No Sugar Sugar, Oliver raps about growing to accept his diabetes, but in Uptight, Oliver's Alright, Miley, Lily, and Oliver state what they learned about diabetes, then Jackson barges in, boasting about his future. This episode is actually not available to watch on Disney+. Overall, I could definitely believe why the US reacted the way it did, especially the diabetes nonprofit, and it's nice that they attempted to refix it, but it just seemed like a lost cause at this point. I don't think they should have scrapped the episode, but even having Oliver have a crush on the teacher seems a little bit out there. All around, this episode just seems to have had bad luck around it. I'm glad it still exists somewhere, but I don't think it was 100% necessary. But if you do like Hannah Montana, I do recommend you look into it.
Overall, the complete second season of Hannah Montana really defined its entire personality. Like, season 1 was about kind of getting to know the characters and everything getting into place, but now we're really delving into Miley's double life. And I'm happy we had this season to kind of go over everything, but I do feel like Season 3 is when we get into the nitty-gritty of the plots, and a lot more of the emotional depth ends because of everything that's happened thus far. So it's definitely relevant. We're on episode 56, and it's probably getting to peak Hannah Montana, I would say. But these are the episodes we all remember super well. Now, when we get to Season 3 and 4, it's not the ones we remember super well, but definitely you're going to want to remember them because they get so much better from here on out. There's about roughly 43 episodes to finish off the entire series, so we're more than halfway, but we're definitely going to take our time a lot more because these ones are just so much more impactful. We got to meet celebrities, we got to really have fun in the second season, but now we're going to have some serious fun. And not only that, this is the season where the Hannah Montana movie gets intertwined. Now, there's a lot of theories about when it takes place in the actual chronology of the show, and that's what's going to be fun to jump into as well. So I hope you guys are ready because there's another video coming up soon. Now, this is Johnny 2000. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends because this is only the beginning of these episodes. Have a great day!